Good evening, model railroaders, and welcome back to the Second Section podcast, where it's just regular folks talking about model railroading. I am your host, Andy Dorsch, and joining me this evening is my co-host, Mike Ostertag. Mike, how are you doing?
How do you think I'm doing?
I think you're doing sweet tonight.
I now hate you too.
Good.
I'm going to tell you something right now. First of all,
here it is.
First of all,
the big reveal.
Here we go, Luke. This is nothing but an advertisement for one of the worst cults there is in the whole world. Okay, the Soo Line. You thought the IAIS mafia were a bunch of guys? No, they got nothing on these Sioux guys. They actually were. They recruited me. I'm still mad about that. Every year I have to give my $35 or whatever it is. I get upset when I get my card in the mail. Yeah. See, here
we go. Here we go. But isn't that just beautiful?
Actually,
the white and the red. Look at it. Just look how the contrast.
The lettering. You know what?
Yeah, it is great.
Whatever.
It's great.
In all honesty, it's actually pretty cool to actually finally be a part of the society. I'm part of the Milwaukee Society. I'm on the board of directors and stuff like that over there, but it's nothing like what these Sioux guys do. It's not even close. Yeah. These guys have really got their act together, and it's tonight's going to be fun. I know more about the Soo Line than I should for being a Milwaukee Road guy. So,
and it's it's funny because the Soo Line was a big part of my life. I found out through doing some ancestry work that I had relatives that worked for the Soo Line in Fond du Lac. So I mean it goes way back in my family as well, and it's a railroad that's it's been in the Midwest for ages, and it's like everyone you talk to has a story about the Soo Line. And tonight we have on the show, we have maybe 2.5 modelers on the show tonight that are fantastic Soo Line modelers, and we're going to be talking about how they modeled the same railroad within almost the same era. And let's see if we're gonna see if we can get William Mike added to the stage here as well, so we can get him on. There we go.
Andy, I know we didn't do a whole lot of pre-show on this one because it really didn't need a lot, but I have actually a lot of good, legitimate questions to ask both Bob and Luke. And it's not joking around questions. It's legitimate Soo Line stuff. So
So we got this. We got two of the more prolific Soo Line modelers here. We have Luke Lemmens joining us this evening. Welcome, Luke.
Welcome.
I think you're not a stranger to the
Black Milwaukee Road for Mike. So a bandit flair.
Yeah, let's get a close-up shot of that if that's all right, Luke. We'll pull you up on the
tie-dye action, and I stenciled the front and bleached a little bandit face.
So this is a custom job.
I had an orange shirt, I never wore it. I'm like, you could make that Milwaukee Road for tag. I'm like, I could bandit it too. That would tag it really like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was the right play there, Luke. That looks real nice.
The black didn't look as good as
the rest of the.
I gotta try dyeing it again, but for a first attempt, I'm pretty happy with it.
Tell the rest of the story.
What's that?
Hey, is this lettering too big? Do you think this is too small? Which size lettering should I use? Does this look good? Which is this? Tag, I need your opinion on this. The size lettering. So here it makes me dive into trying to figure out what size lettering to use.
That's how we stenciled it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Found out and stenciled it, and I actually sprayed it right on.
It actually turns out really good, and I want one.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
They'll go for what? I mean, $25-$30 a cent.
Yeah.
And then, so that's a pretty prolific introduction, Luke. And you're going to be talking about your second sub this evening, Soo Line in 1979. And then we also have joining us
Hello,
Bob
Chuck.
Rivard.
Yeah. Hi, guys. It's funny you guys are. We have Chuck Darris on the phone right now from Chicago. Hi, Chuck. How you doing? We're live on our on the second section podcast right now, Chuck. You did not know that. Well, we are. So, and I thought I would answer the call here. So, yep. Chuck is a fantastic modeler from Naperville, and he's on the line with me right now. So,
Yeah.
do you have anything to say to the audience, Chuck?
Any pearls of wisdom?
Yep. And we have Luke Lemmens on the other line here also, Chuck. So, just so you know. Well, we will talk later. All right. Talk to you later, Chuck. Yep. Bye-bye. Tune in now, okay? All right. Back with you guys.
All right. Bob.
That was an important call. I had to get that, so.
Andy, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, William.
Are you is it loud enough, and then also are you getting an echo?
Getting a little bit of feedback, yeah. So
anyway, Mike, let me try to help you out here. One of the questions: why did they pick white? Right?
It's not. No, that's
Good.
not it. That's not it.
I like to answer that one. That's not a bad one. Everybody asks that.
It's not white. It's gray.
It gets through. It's a certain Dulux DuPont color called gray. I forgot the number, but
it's technically gray. See,
it
I should not know that.
Yeah,
so
you
Bob,
should not know that. Yes.
So Bob, you're running 1977, the Soo Line, right?
Summer of 77. Correct.
Summer. Okay. And between the two, between Luke and yourself there, where are you, what area of the Soo Line are you modeling?
Well, I'm modeling. Now, Luke does, this is his second section, second sub.
Yeah.
Right. And now my sub is, I don't know if you can see it. Maybe you can't see it.
Oh yeah, we got you on the big screen, Bob.
We have mine is called the seventh sub through the Twin Cities. So the double main line from Shoreham out to Cardigan was double track. That's how busy it was in the Twin Cities back then. And it was 12 miles of double track, and this was referred to as the seventh subdivision. And so we go out to Withrow, and then Chicago. From Withrow, we can go up. All the trains that the Soo ran back then, I have in my staging yards. So that's been an ongoing project. The Powers stage ready to go. I upgraded to a new Digitrack system a few years ago. It can handle, I think, 400 addresses. Oh wow! So yeah, so that's kind of nice. Digitracks. It's like a 240 model, but anyway, that's kind of the deal with mine. Is my I'm trying to have all the trains staged at all times to run. We can run all the trains the Soo ran back then down here in the Twin Cities. That's
a enormous amount of traffic then that came through the Shoreham area. Is that correct?
Correct. In fact, when the Soo merged, the Soo Milwaukee Road merger happened in 1985, this line for the Twin Cities got downgraded because the Soo was utilizing the BN to get down to St. Paul, to go down the river and get to Chicago that way. So this line actually got downgraded for a while. And in fact, they ended up 1987, they tore out the East Main. Minnesota taxes railroads, so the railroads are always fast to tear their track. Plus, they used the welded rail down on the river sub to improve the Milwaukee, to improve the sidings, and so that's been kind of an ongoing thing with them. But yeah, it's Luke and I have this discussion frequently about the era thing.
So why 77, Bob? What's pinned you?
Yeah, 77 I picked because the really neat power was still running on the Soo Line. The F units, the 10 GEs were still running. The Jeep 38-2s were brand new. I mean, you have to be able to comb your hair in the side. They're so shiny back then. They had the 3-digit ones, and then in Luke's era, 79, they started to change the numbers to the 4 digits. They were going to interfere with the GE, so they changed their numbering. But so Luke models when they were changed over to the 4-digit, the Jeep 38-2s.
It was like the summer that I model is when they did it. So I haven't pinned down which numbers do, if they were still 3-digit or 4-digit. So that's
correct. That's the 79 is when that was happening. So that's correct. That's
through all the photos I tracked down. When did they start and when did they stop?
But
I've got one of them. I've got down to like within a month when it was still a 4-digit or 3-digit to when it got renumbered. So it just
correct. Yeah.
29 where I want to model to do those. So
Bob,
right.
Bob, your reasoning was for picking the 77 time era, the summer of 77 was primarily because of the motive power.
Correct. Like I said, it's a bonus to be able to model the 38-2s. Like I said, early 77, they were brand new, just arrived on the property. So those are the ones that had the red Soo on the side. Yeah. Those were those first 10. They had the red Soo, which I understand that was one of those things that kind of snuck through. I don't think they were supposed to, but kind of neat little information to find out along the way.
So Luke, you modeled 79.
See, same thing. I liked when I was collecting stuff. I had everything from I had a Candy Apple SD60N that was Overland, and then I had F units, and the F units I liked better, and that's really what pinned it down to when can I. Everything kind of got standardized by 80. Everything was all SD40-2s and 38s. I wanted to keep the flair of, the Jeep 30s, the Jeep or the F units that were still kind of hanging on for the last bit, but the standardization was starting to take in. So you really get a mix of power, and the Soo would put anything together. That's what I think is kind of, nothing was really specific. Like if you model Northwestern, there was stuff that got pigeonholed and stuck in certain areas, and it never left that area. So if you want to model these things would roam pretty much the whole system.
Yeah. So like for example, like in a similar time period, right? So you had just to kind of explain what you're talking about with the Northwestern, right? So you had the C628s, right? The big Elko power. In fact, almost all of the Elko power was between Green Bay and Escanaba.
Yeah,
and that's where it lived,
stuff
right?
was all the Elko line in Iowa.
Yeah, or the Dakotas, wasn't
it?
Yeah.
Once they segregated all the Elkos together up to Green Bay, if you liked Elkos, you almost have to model Green Bay because everything was all pigeonholed. There was stuff with like ATC shoes and stuff for their signaling system that was pigeonholed to certain areas around Chicago. There was just
Madison, Chicago, Milwaukee area, right?
Yeah.
So I have a question. So then the Soo Line, then they didn't care. They ran anything everywhere.
Everywhere.
Interesting.
And towards the end, the Fs were still out on the main line at the end too. I mean, the thing was with the S was kind of neat. They didn't have MU capability on the nose, so an F either had to be the front of the consist or the back of the consist, depending on which way it was facing.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Towards the end, you could still see F units leading.
That's awesome.
Interesting. Can you guys hear? Interesting that Luke talks about that because I actually had it on my list for things to talk about for part 2. And one of the things on here was Soo F units, no MU on pilot, which I don't know if any other railroad even. That's how frugal. The Soo was. That's how frugal the Soo was. They let's say we're never going to split our engines apart. We're going to always run them in those sets that they purchased when they were maroon. Why spend the money for it's I don't think any other railroad, even the CNW, had MU capability on the nose of their F units.
When they bought the F units, they bought them Mary Queen, so they bought them.
They figured they were going to run them all the time like that. I guess
they considered that's why they had like the 2200 or whatever had the 2200 was A, B, and A. So it was all units. But when they chopped them up and ran them as 3 separate entities, that's where all the letter suffixes came along. So you had the 2200A, 2200C, and 2200B. What everybody knows as a B unit on the Soo Line is all a C unit. All the cabless ones were all considered C's, where most people consider a B unit, the cabless unit of a covered wagon, is actually the third cab to F unit. So that's kind of like how the diesel era for the Soo Line. I remember it distinctly as basically 3 eras. There was the maroon and gold, the light gray and red, and then the candy apple red. When did it go from the maroon and gold to the gray and white? That was that 62 merger we talked about earlier, when the original Wisconsin Central and original Soo Line, whatever the long spell out of it was, and then the DSS&A all merged together in 62, and they wanted a new image, was what it was dubbed. Oh, I see. And that's when they came with. If you ever get the book The Little Jewel, that's an awesome book for learning about the Soo Line. Wallace Abbey was their promotional person, and he was the one that sold the image. They had a couple different plaster models that he went in to try to sell the different paint schemes. Bob's got the story probably better than I do, but they were trying to sell the manager of why would you paint the engine white, and they knew that the head person had a white car.
Not so correct. I actually talk about that in the clinic I just gave in St. Louis over the summer, but Murray was talking to Wallace Abbey, and they were talking about and Murray was talking about Leonard Murray was talking about white. That's no color for a railroad to paint it, and that what we have in mind is seeing the engines from far off, and it's going to look spectacular. And it's like, well, you're going to see handprints on the engines. It's greasy hand. Well, that. It's like, no, you're not going to be that close to the engine. So that's when came up about the car. It's like he actually knew Murray's car was white. So it was kind of it was kind of actually a funny little story, but picking the colors, the first engine was that 550, Luke, remember that? Yeah. In fact, that's this goofy set that's on the micro scale set. And it's like, there's just the one engine that had that serif. That was the 550.
I was going to ask you, is that the one that had that real thin sans serif lettering on it?
That was the only one, and it was like very short-lived anyway. And I'd rather have Micro do a third set for the regular Soo, actually, because it's a very popular item. So.
You should know that stuff.
I love the both of you guys. You know that, but I hate you at the same time.
Don't talk into your hands, Mike. Talking to the mic.
Know that. I should not know that.
The first engines to receive the actual new, when they decided on the color scheme, the gray, were the Dolly sisters, and they actually, as time went on, they decided, a year might have gone by, the gray looked too gray to them, so they actually changed it up and picked a different DuPont color, and so the first 21 GP30s, 700 through 21. Those were the first series of engines to have the new color scheme, were the Jeep 30s.
Oh my God! Here comes another question I should ask.
I love this kind of stuff, Luke.
Wasn't it because Elko could produce the engines faster than the EMD could for the Jeep 30s? I thought that was part of the deal why they got them first.
The Elkos?
Yeah, I heard. I think the Wallace book or something. They had them ordered through the 30s, but the 20s, those Elkos could get them to the company first. That's why they got them.
That's
first.
Probably why they ended up getting those two Dolly sisters. Okay,
I'm gonna bring these up on screen, and you can tell me if they're right. Are these the Dolly sisters?
Those are the Dollies.
Yep.
If it's 416 and 415, yep.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob.
Yes. Yes,
okay,
Mike.
So then, fast forward to, I'm going to get this year wrong, and I know I will, so please correct me. Fast forward to, was it 1975 when the parallelogram came around?
That is correct. That it would be actually 1972 where the dash twos had the first parallelograms.
So what was
if I'm
the
not mistaken,
reasoning?
right, Luke?
What was the reasoning for not painting the back of the parallelogram painted locomotives red and keeping it white? What was the reasoning behind that? I mean, because that is just makes it, so that just makes the back of those engines look really weird. If you ask me, it's a very good. You can always tell from the back that it's a parallelogram because it's white and not red.
Now William is getting a nice shot of some parallelograms there. There's the GE. The GEs were repainted in 1975, but they all got repainted except for the 806. The 806 still, they repainted that with the big SOO, and they put the hockey stick on the 806, and that's down here somewhere. I just don't know where it is right now. So, so ask me again about the red part, Mike. You were talking about.
Why did they decide to not paint the rear red and keep it
the
white?
rear of the engine. Oh, I see.
Rear of the engine red.
That's an interesting question, and I don't know if I know the answer to that, Luke. It was probably just a simplified situation. Let's just keep the red off the rear of the engines,
Yeah, October 74 it says is when they painted the parallel started coming.
That's right. One of my first photos with my dad's camera down at Shoreham on my bike, and I saw the new SD 40-2s, and they were brand new with the parallelograms back at the diesel house.
So this is a good time as any just to mention that we do have William Sampson over at Bob's house tonight, behind the scenes, doing the camera work, running the audio and all that stuff, over at Shoreham 1977. So just a quick shout out to him. We've been fumbling with the audio on our side with him, so we'll get him plugged into the stream as soon as we can. But yeah, you guys all know William Sampson. He's, I think, punched his 5 timers club now, and he got the free meatball sub on the second section now. So he's.
Am I at the 5? I'm not. I should be getting close to that.
You're going to be getting you're
getting close. You're talking about 5 timers.
If you're talking about. Luke's going to push for getting back on the show if there's free food involved.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have a question for Luke. I have a question. A question for Luke. No, not oh boy. This is a good question. Okay. Now, you're modeling the second sub.
Yep.
And since we've been friends for, God, I don't know, seems like an eternity now. I remember the original iteration of your layout was going to be from like Trout Lake over towards Gladstone area, correct? Is that okay? So what made you decide to not model that area as compared to modeling the second sub? Was it just traffic level or
traffic level, staging availability? Otherwise, everything would have been my Stevens Point staging would have been where my Shawano Stub staging is, and I just didn't have the traffic pattern that would flow that way. My great aunt lived in Sheboygan, Michigan, with a C, the upper part of Lower Michigan. So every year we would travel across the UP, and I always saw Gladstone, and I just like the bluff of coming into Gladstone with a yard kind of tapered in there, and I like that traffic. The 911, 912 with the container traffic on the rear. A lot of people don't think of the Soo Line in the UP as high container traffic, but there was massive amounts of container traffic that came out of Canada, out of Sault Ste. Marie, that came down. There was extra unit trains that were just solid containers.
Did that go straight across to the cities?
No, a lot of it came down and went south. There was traffic that did go east-west, but a lot of the cast traffic went down on
11 and 12.
There was a thing in, when was it? The Roadrunners. They eventually, that cast bid to haul that stuff got routed through like Detroit versus going up and over the lakes. And that killed the container traffic. And the fact that you had this massive container train doing all the short work for all these little logging spurs for pulpwood all the way across the UP along the way. So it wasn't the hottest traffic, but it was that I don't think that helped it. One of the two magazines has a really good article about when they started running that stuff, the like Detroit or through the Chicago up the other way.
Do you ever take a step back and like I've said, I've been at your layout, I don't know, since day one basically, and have you ever stopped and taken a look back and said to yourself, man, maybe I should have done Trout Lake to Gladstone just because of the and this is not meant to say, because I know you'll agree with me.
Yeah,
it's a monster. It is a monster that has taken on its own identity, and it is a breathing, living thing. When that thing is up and running, that layout is just it is right, Bob. I mean, you agree?
I totally agree, and I'm dealing with the same situation down here. Is willing to tell you it's a monster down here too.
But it's
someday it may catch up with me. I tell people, but right now I'm not going to worry about it. So
the traffic pattern is neat. It is a kind of a logistical nightmare to get that many people here and humming the right direction in the same tune. I do. Part of me does kind of want to do the Lake States to just rip the traffic pattern off of this thing and just run like 2 pairs of trains.
Run the Jeep 9s, the 35s, and the 30s, and just run that.
Everything else,
everything else is just gone.
Conrail 38s,
some Jeep 20s, some Milwaukee Road Jeep 20s, Bandit stuff.
Part of me thinks that would be really neat because nobody has interest. Nobody has.
I do.
The Lake States as the Soo Line, yeah.
I do.
That was one of my topics too. There's a Soo Line after 85 or 86.
I always forget that, by the way.
Yeah, everybody in the society was like, we don't talk about after that.
I started a Facebook group based around that.
You did, yep. That's right.
It's actually really good. It's actually turned out there's a lot of really good information that's come out about that, and some really neat pictures of Sioux power and other foreign power in parts of like down by like Elkhart Lake and other parts of the territory that you don't see.
So
yep.
before we dive in here and we get too far off the rails talking about Lake States and I want to in 1985 and all that, I want to bring in one of our segments of the show here because we're about 30 minutes in. I don't want to get too far along because Luke asked if we would do our hashtag not sponsored segment this evening because we got a few things that we need to mention. One of them is not Sioux-centric.
No.
And then a couple of them are Sioux-centric that we can talk about here with the Historical Society and a couple of other items. So we'll kick it over here to the Greasy Meat Hands Band, and we'll do the bumper here for hashtag not sponsored, and we'll fire it up. And then after hashtag not sponsored, let's I think we should take a tour of Bob's layout. What do you think?
Oh yeah.
Yes, we got to see these surprises that he was talking about.
Yeah.
All right, here, kick it away.
I need to mention before I forget the reason at first they didn't put the numbers on it, right? Am I not right? Yeah. Well, that's but you'll enjoy this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Numbers.
So we're here at hashtag not sponsored. Luke and Mike, we have
a book.
Books.
Somehow I got turned on to anybody's seen the show Mythbusters with Adam Savage and Jamie in there.
Yeah. What do you got there, Luke?
Adam Savage wrote a book about everything's a hammer. I guess I geek out on like shop organization and tools and all that kind of stuff. little bit of back history of me. I went to tech school for industrial model building, and parts of things you could do was like stage props and all the. It taught you basically anything, how to make something from nothing. Part of the dream job in that career was industrial light and magic, making stuff for like Star Wars and all the movie props and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's where Adam Savage worked.
Really?
Jamie, the other co-worker, was his boss at a different model shop that took him out of industrial light and magic. But it basically goes through his whole life story and the whole mentality of shop organization. And it really gets you thinking of how and why you work. The basic shapes things. I break everything down to basic shapes. This is like this and like tenfold of what gets your mind thinking of. And everything circles back around to the momentum of a project. What kills your momentum of a project and what's not making you be productive is modeling or build as a maker. I thought it was outstanding. And I don't read. I hate reading. The books I've ever read is like a handful of books.
And he told me about it.
Next thing I knew, I was 100 pages deep.
Wow. Okay.
If you have any interest in any type of like shop organization or mindsets or how to not get yourself hung up on something in making this, you have to read this thing.
Yeah, I bought the book here a few days ago, and I got it. Well, I got the book a few days ago, and I got about 2 pages in, and my wife was trying to ask me a question. I said, "Can you just wait a little bit?" And I literally, she goes, "What are you doing?" She goes, "Oh my God, you're reading. What is going on?" And I said, "Nothing. I'm reading a book that I want to read." Luke, I said, "Luke told me about this book. It sounded interesting. I wanted the book. You ordered it for me. So I'm going to sit down and read it." And I haven't had a chance to pick any more up today, but just through the introduction alone is the information that he throws out there in that first 8 pages is like already mindset changing stuff.
There was the whole thing on like drawers. And Tag and I, like a week before I got this book, had a whole discussion of why his shop is disorganized. He makes a big thing in there that drawers is where tools go to die because you don't see them. They're not they're not accessible, and there's ways to restructure how you set things up to not kill your motivation. Of whatever slows your building process down, it's just, I thought it was really neat.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to pick one of these up.
You have to get this, Andy. I think this
one's
really
right up my alley.
Different.
It'll probably help you with not just shop motivation, it'll just like any kind of project motivation that you have going on, whether it's something to do around the house or even at work. If you have a project that you have to do at work, that making sure you're organized is important.
He has a thing on lists, and I started going through a list, and I made a list of everything I'm working on that's hung up right now, and why is it hung up, and what do I need to do to get over that hang up? And it really makes you thinking a whole different way of how can I be more productive in this, and why is my modeling not as good as it could be? The book club thing, I do think it would be a neat book club if everybody got it, and then in a few months or a week or few weeks, we go back and we have a book club about it. I think that would be kind of neat.
Yeah, I think that would be kind of fun. I know Mike has it. I think I'm gonna pick it up.
It wasn't very expensive, Andy. I think it was only like $15.
Yeah, soft cover was $15 if you want a hardcover.
I'll show the gates.
It is
That'll be nice.
Yeah.
We'll read it to you too.
Okay.
Cool. So, this would be cool.
Another thing to plug is the Soo Society got their convention this week too. So
he's doing convention.
Okay.
So the Soo Society's got their convention this week.
Yes, through Sunday.
And where is that at?
We're in
Wisconsin Dells.
Wisconsin Dells, North Freedom.
Yeah, Mike, you should come.
I can't. I'm going to be in Colorado. Or no. I have other things to do this week. That's
Oh,
right.
sure.
Wisconsin Dells this weekend?
Huh?
Not hanging out with Soo Line people. That's what you're not doing.
Yeah, I'm not. No.
They might let you in, Mike.
Yeah.
Soo
Right,
Line
Luke?
and name
Luke
only.
could pull some strings.
There you go.
Yeah, Luke will pull strings.
Yeah.
Well, he's on the board. Sure.
I'm on
why
the
not?
board out loud.
That's right.
What time does it start?
It's Thursday evening. It starts with a couple clinics and stuff. Friday we're doing a bus tour
Okay.
to the North Freedom Museum.
Oh yeah.
Other stuff.
Bob
I'd
Wilkie.
love to get there. I've never
Yeah,
been to that one.
Frank Jordan's going to be there. In fact, he's working on the control panel from 14th Avenue Tower in North Minneapolis, and I got a hold of that recently, and he built a nice wood frame to go around it, so he's going to have that there. So our latest project. Can I talk about one last thing about the parallelograms before?
Yeah.
One interesting thing. Remember, Luke, one of the interesting things about the parallelogram scheme was the engines were painted without the number on the cab. They put the number back here. Well, the deal with that, you guys can probably guess what the issue with that, right? Snow started was we can't see the number of the snow bear, so they did end up putting the numbers back onto the cab. So many of them you'll see the number on the rear and on the cab. So
is that because the walkways would fill up with
the
snow?
walkway? Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh yes. Yep.
Interesting.
Anything northwest of the Twin Cities, they would start getting a lot of snow.
So they left them on both front and the back.
They did at a point they started to figure out, well, we better put the numbers back onto the cab because our numbers are getting buried with snow. So many of the engines with the parallelograms have them on the back and on the cab. But when they were brand new painted, that's the 805 there. You see, that's represented.
That's
brand new paint.
Era. That's another era thing of.
It is an era thing.
Numbers on.
Yeah.
Why is the parallelogram on the 805? Why is the parallelogram on the 805
backwards? That's a good question. The 804 and the 805 were the only ones that had the backwards parallelogram. And fortunately, when I modeled mine many years ago, a lot of mine were modeled from Athearn shells fitted on Atlas underframes and trucks. So they run really nice. But at the time, I decided I'm going to use the Athearn is still a very nice model. But what I had to do is I cut the shells in half with a bandsaw, my dad's bandsaw. And it actually, the kerf of the blade actually was enough. So when you put the two halves back together, there on the rear, you just see two slits where the headlights were. So that's and it actually was the correct amount. And then you put a Canon, is it Canon? Jim Booth's company does the GE cabs. Yeah, the cabs. So I put a correct cabs on them, and so that. Oh, wow. And I had to use a second Athearn shell for the platform, so I had to shave the shell off the second platform just to use the platform and the battery boxes.
Oh my goodness!
So that was an interesting.
Was reversed to match the angle of the red and white.
And yeah, it was kind of an experiment situation. Rick Johnson, fortunately, I knew Rick Johnson back then. This is back in the early 90s when I was doing these. He was the artist at Kalmbach, the main illustrator. And he was able to produce these parallelograms for me on his Alps printer. So I was very lucky because nobody was making a correct parallelogram back then. So that was a nicety back then.
That was the thing I liked about Bob. The model of the Soo Line, there were so many weird things about it.
Oh, wow.
That
SD40-2 has the numbers on the lower left.
Yep.
Too.
So remember I modeled 77. So by my era, they got the number back on the cab and it's still on the rear. They never took them off there. They just put them on the cab. So like I said, they discovered. Took them a few years to figure that out, though, because, like I said, then they painted the GEs, same deal, without the numbers on the cab. Those were all painted, I believe, at Shoreham, all the GEs.
Really?
Repainted, I should say. Yeah, they, like I said, they only last. The interesting thing about the GEs, they purchased them in 1968, and they had a 15-year lease, and they only made it to like 1980. They had so many problems with them. They ended up storing them, shipped them to Fond du Lac to store for the remainder of their lease. So by 1980, they were basically stored.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and CNW had the same situation, I believe, with their GEs.
They weren't meant for the traffic that the Soo Line was hauling, I think was their biggest downfall. A GE is great for big, long coal trains, and the Soo Line is more lighter rail, North Woods kind of stuff. And I think they weren't a good fit. I think that was
the maintenance situation too. They were an EMD railroad, basically.
Yeah. Interesting. That's very interesting. Yeah. So let's. I guess there was one question that was brought up, and it might be a good time to talk about this. So for some of us that know, between the two of you, between Bob and Luke, the locomotive roster that you guys have for the Soo Line that you guys have modeled between 1977 and 1979 is pretty prolific, if I do understand it correctly. How many locomotives are on the roster at any given point in time over the years there?
I thought it was like 250, something like
250. That. And how many of them have you guys modeled?
I'm over 100 by now.
So you've modeled over 100.
Yep.
Of the 1979 fleet.
Yeah.
And how many have Bob modeled?
Yeah, we were just talking about this, weren't we, Luke?
No,
we still have 80 holes in the
yeah, there's like 80 holes. The whole,
which surprises me actually, but
my whole goal with this was I was trying to do one of every number series and every paint scheme, at least cover the basis of everything that they had.
Sure.
But then they came up with, there's a lot of SD40s and 40-2s. There's a lot of plain stuff out there. Bob already took a good chunk of those numbers. If I'm going to model some, there's no reason for me to model an engine that Bob already did.
Sure.
And Bob's older. Eventually, those engines are going to become available. So why should I duplicate efforts? I guess was part of my deal. So I was trying to do every engine that Bob did not. So that's been part of my goal lately. So we made a roster up. That was whole part of that 736 rec stuff that I've been doing.
Look at the bus and the grade crossing.
This is the street I grew up watching trains at all those years, and
so this is where it all started then for you, Bob.
And Frank Jordan was 4 blocks west of here watching the same trains, and we didn't even know each other till about 1983, something like that.
Oh my goodness!
By the way, Luke, I still have to apologize. I always feel bad. I'm sorry once again that I took all the airplane numbers.
Yeah, all the 40s. I was trying to do all
the 747. The 747 is such a cool one. You should just do your own version.
747, 737. He took all the good airplane numbers.
It did get repainted in like 1981 or something like that, I believe.
That's
so
cool.
It must have had a fender bender somewhere. Yeah.
So here's a question that's come in from Late Night Model Railroad. So how do you decide which road number each person will model? Do you do rock, paper, scissors or some other method?
Bob already had a good chunk of them, so I'm just kind of, I made a spreadsheet and I'm just trying to fill in the holes. I got a copy of all the things that Bob did. That's where that whole 736, the wrecked engine that I did.
Yeah.
That was the whole start of this thing.
Okay.
That's that whole
completely wrecked with all the hood doors open.
And now with the internet years ago, it's like, okay, there's nothing like a good prototype photo to inspire a project, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in the books, although the books that have come out through the years, but the internet, it's like, it's actually not that hard nowadays to find an engine that's the photo's been taken in our era,
Yeah.
79, 77. So we can actually model and weather it to the photo, which is for prototype modelers like Luke and I. It's really cool to be able to do that.
Doing the research on this, the 736, nobody modeled the 736 yet. So I'm like, okay, I'll take on the 736 to fill the roster in. The 736 was in a head-on wreck in Malacca, Michigan in January of 79, like January 26th. So my era, it's trashed. It's scrapped.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, you cannot model it, Luke.
So I'm
no
like,
way can you model it.
I
Correct.
can't model this. So in the research of trying to find this information out, I find shots of it in the summer of 79, drugged down to Fond du Lac, parked out in front of the back shop building that I have modeled. So I'm like,
Forgot to have my strobe flasher.
I'm like, so I ended up modeling it wrecked because someone had to model it. So we did the whole thing of modeling it completely trashed.
So can we talk about the model just a little bit, Luke? I know we're kind of jumping back and forth here, but I think this is really kind of cool. I've never seen, or at least up front, I've never really seen, someone model a wrecked engine. So this is kind of interesting.
So searching at the archives, I come up with this shot.
Yeah.
And this is it parked out in front of the back shop building, would be like right here.
Yeah.
And then there's another shot of it hauled off. They took it off its trucks and they hauled it down just to get scrapped in Chicago.
Yeah.
So they basically brought it down to pick all the parts clean of it. The 739 ended up getting rebuilt. That one only got nose damage in that wreck. But all this stuff came down to Fond du Lac to get sorted through.
Right.
But that was a fun project.
And then we'll show the
Stretch built the prime mover for it and all the internal components, and everybody in my group was picking it apart. So, I mean, it's the air compressor and the expansion tank and all that stuff. Everything's right on the inside. But when I got just about done with this project, I'm like, we should probably have a 736 that actually works. And I have a pile of SD40 projects in the cabinet, nothing really assigned yet. I'm like, well, I'll just give one to Bob with the stipulation that it has to be the 736.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I gave Bob
That's right.
a Cato unit, and so now we have a good 736.
So now
Luke showed up at the prototype meet a couple of years ago in March, and Bob, you can do the 736 because it's and you can't because was wrecked in January. So now I've got this nice Cato SD40 with dynamic because they don't come without the dynamic brake. So so a day later, I'm in my backyard. It was a nice day actually, and I'm carving the dynamic brake blisters off with my Dremel in the backyard. It's like I have to do this. Well, I think I had it done in like a week.
Yeah, Bob went right through that thing.
So I was just gonna say that looks like just a regular old SD40, not a Dash 2.
Yeah,
that's a regular 40, correct?
Yeah,
it's
straight 40.
So out of that, we ended up making I did an article for the Society magazine of a before and after of Bob's 736 and my 736. A little story about the Malacca wreck. But what the difference a couple of years can make.
So I guess you guys obviously have a passion, and Mike, jump in with questions. Don't let me bogart the conversation here, but how important to you guys is the historical society?
Priceless to me. I was born in 77. I modeled 79. I never saw the Soo. The only Soo Line I ever saw was after they bought the Milwaukee Road and came into Green Bay.
Okay.
And then it was WC in a couple of years. So I never saw anything that I modeled. All of my modeling is based off of research that I've got majority through the Historical Society.
What do we got here?
Well, the Soo Line comes up to New Brighton at a location called Bulwer Junction, where the Minnesota transfer crosses the Soo Line. And in my era, 1977, there was no interlocking. It was a 4-way stop sign. So it was just like a road, whoever gets there first. So The Soo is holding back for the Minnesota transfer to come across into the yard at New Brighton. In fact, I go up to the spot. I go up to the spot today, to this day, on my bike and watch the westbounds come through here. And of course, now there's a signal. They put the signaling in 1982. So I watch for the green light. Dispatcher throws that now from Kansas City, and that's my little exercise program now. Riding my bike up there.
It's a sweet Winnebago.
Oh, that's a whole nother story, isn't it, Luke?
Oh yeah, I ended up having to get one of those things too.
What's on one of my videos in 1979, and the F unit switches some cars out, and there comes the Winnebago across.
So I have a question: Is the Minnesota transfer still in business today, or is
that's what became of in the late '80s? The Minnesota Commercial was formed. Yep.
So that's
still, and they just got purchased by some, I believe, Regional Rail. Is that what it's called? And now there's rumors that they're going to get rid of their cool GEs now and replace them with cat engines, I believe, some type of it, or the Ecos, I believe. That's the rumor I'm hearing. So
yeah, the GP22 ECOs or something
that's what
like
it
that.
Is.
Yeah, like
yep. Which is kind of sad. So I've been trying to get shots now as much as I can because it's right in my backyard here. So
yeah, and they just got some of those GEs here not too long ago. Either some of those.
Yeah, that blue one with the number 51, I believe, is one.
Yeah, the 51.
Yeah.
So, Luke, you were talking about the Historical Society.
Yeah.
Could you explain a little bit? Could you explain or talk a little bit about? Because so I already know basically this answer, but I mean it for everybody else that's out there that doesn't know. How does the Historical Society have their archives structured? And like how well is it maintained? All that kind of stuff. Could you just expound on that a little bit?
We've had an archive building of 10, 15 years now, at least. An actual all the archive material for the organization is all at our building, all fully accessible, unlike the Milwaukee Road Historical Society.
No, honestly, no, that's not even a joke. That is
I went to a
huge frustration with me
years ago in the Northwest. I said I was from the Soo Society, and they're like, "Oh my God, we're so jealous that you have your own archive, and the building is paid for." I mean, for being a smaller society, it's very well organized. Every Monday and Tuesday, there's always a group of guys there working, cataloging the stuff. We were fortunate that when the Soo Line closed their main offices in Minneapolis, they contacted the society, and we got truckloads of paperwork. There was, I forgot what they're all AFEs, application for expenditures. So they gave us piles and piles and piles of these things. So anytime that anybody on the railroad wanted to spend money for any project, they had to fill out this AFE form for what they wanted to buy and the purchase and everything about it. If they wanted to put an addition to a depot, it would be all the information, the print for the depot, what the addition with the depot would be, all the stuff in regard to this project would all be in this basically file folder of all these, of how they wanted to spend their money. So any improvement to any infrastructure is all documented, and the society has all of that.
Wow.
There was my little Dale depot that I had at Dale. You probably don't have a shot handy of that, but it was like a little bitty shack, and I was trying to find some information on that. They replaced the old depot with this little shack. I asked the guys at the archives, and they tracked down an AFE of that structure when it was actually the Navarino depot. They picked it up from Navarino, trailered the thing down to Dale, and put it into Dale. And then they found pictures of it actually at Navarino, all four sides of it. So for me to model that structure, it's priceless. It gives you dimensions. It gives you every four sides of a depot that you'd never be able to see. So the stuff like that is just invaluable trying to model.
And in case anybody may have kind of taken what Luke was saying before about the Milwaukee Road Archive as kind of a jab, it really isn't, because Luke and I have talked about this for at length a long time. The Milwaukee Road Archive is actually split into two inaccessible, I shouldn't say inaccessible, but very difficult to access sections. One is actually at the Milwaukee Public Library, and then the other one is, I believe it's called the Brennan Library in St. Louis. And they didn't organize anything when they split it. They just said this half goes here, this half goes there, and there are missing pieces in one. It might be over at the other. So, but nobody really knows what is. There's so much there that nobody knows exactly what is where. And the worst part about it is the Historical Society for the Milwaukee Road is like helpless to try to get any of it from anywhere, because the Milwaukee Road wrote it right into the donation thing that it cannot be sold, moved, transferred, or given to anybody else.
Oh,
it has to stay in those two locations. So, and then you have to put in a request, and the people that are volunteers are usually non-railroad people that don't know what they're looking for, and they don't know what you're looking for, and it's just you get a bunch of every time I try to put a request in, I get misinformation of stuff that I did not ask for. So it's just very frustrating, and that's why. And I've been to the Sioux Archives a lot of times. It is so nice down there. It is just, it is very, very well put together.
You do get the mounds of information, and it takes a army to sort through this stuff. And the Sioux Society has actually got, at least the pictures are now by main engine in the photo, organized by numerical order, and the structures are kind of by group, by location. It's enough that you can make it's workable. Yeah. The slides are separately. So I went down there actually this morning. I had to do some stuff to get ready for the convention. Do you have those pictures handy, Andy, that I sent earlier?
Oh, handy Andy's got the pictures.
So there was the post that Bob sent to me earlier, the post for my group of looking with the water car. So he has that shot at New Brighton coming through, and the hind end of the train's got this water car so basically, steam engine tender.
Yeah, here, I'll start the show off with that. Give me a hot second to navigate the technology.
Because as William or as Luke will tell you, they hauled those around quite often in the trains, like towards the rear by the caboose. So it's like, I would actually like to do a water tender, which is one of the old tenders from the steam engine days.
So Bob throws this on my group, and there was a couple comments about what it is. Verified, it is the X774, but the Sioux Head did so many of these things, they must have at least half a dozen that I know of. They're probably 10, 12 at least different versions of a water car. They're basically for like maintenance away when the section guys were out away. There's a source of having water. So I'm thumbing through stuff looking for other stuff. Here's a shot of the X777 or the 774. That's exactly what Bob's looking for. I mean,
I cannot wait to talk about this at the convention, because this will be interesting.
More stuff, and I mean, there was this shot. I'm like, that's the perfect dead-on side shot of what you're looking for, and that's a Guy Kafer photo. One of the people that were in our society years ago was just a technical geek of this stuff. He would go out and he would waste so much film on all this stuff, and he would take detailed like end shots of construction photos, and then he would make notes of all this stuff with dimensions.
Wow.
So all this guy, when he passed away, all of his stuff, all of his photos and his dimensions came to the archives, and there's end shots of stuff like this. I mean, he crawled all over this stuff. That's a Fond du Lac shot, which I thought was kind of neat. That's the back.
Yeah, that's cool.
So the 774 actually came to Fond du Lac. So
and Luke, those were some fun conventions when we would go rail fanning with Guy and observe him in progress getting photos, and
and then
was really something.
go back to the other one, Andy. So the tender I constructed, I used off of the black right one more other way, that one. So I did mine off a Tyco tender. It kind of had that rounded flare and was a little bit bigger. This one, Bob, wasn't this one I shore them forever? With
That's the one. That's why it ended up. Yeah, going. That's why I ended up getting in that train that I have the shot of.
This would be a neat one to model with that Tyco tender. But if you could get an IHC tender, I have one from if Andy can throw in my shop. But this is from you can pan to me, Andy. In IHC, that tender is like almost perfect for that, for the 774. And I was just on eBay. There's a bunch of these tenders on eBay.
I'm sure hoping we can talk Mike Polsgrove into doing one, a 3D printed one. Wouldn't that be nice?
I think
if I slipped him $5, would he do it? You think?
That IHC one, I think, is a dead ringer for that 774.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
I would really look into getting one of these things.
All right. Okay.
If you wanted the 774, otherwise,
how close? I wonder how close the one is that's on my my PFM brass Pacific that's upstairs. I could just take that and just paint it brown and put some if I get really desperate, I think I might have to do that. But if Mike doesn't come through for us and do the
I was searching through the archives today, and they had 7 binders of just maintenance away stuff. I mean, it was like this wide of just photos of all kinds of stuff. I was looking.
That would be a neat project. I would like. Now, Luke was mentioning the projects. Like I'll ask, that's the neat thing about Luke's second sub Facebook page is everybody's on there. Yeah. I mean, the captain of the Barker.
Yeah.
This is bad. I should always turn this off. Yeah, I better not get that right now. The captain of the Barker is on Luke's page. That was a fun Captain Newland.
Yeah.
We were at the convention a few years ago in Duluth, and Brad's on the phone with Luke to invite Luke and Owen for the tour of the boat, and we're having our show and tell on the Saturday morning, and he says to Luke, and if Bob Rivard is there, he can come too. And I'm like, oh, that is so neat. And we're on the next thing you know, we're on his boat, and he's showing us where he programs his decoders, and he models Soo Line. He does Milwaukee Road engines. It's like that was quite the event.
Yeah, Bob's kind of a big thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, gee. Almost as big as you, Luke.
That's always been kind
of. But the other neat story about Luke's page is when I asked the story about. Oh, in fact, it's right here of all things. When I asked the question about Luke, my sand car, I did 2 of these sand cars many years ago, back in the 80s, from the Roundhouse kit. Did my own lettering, did the showroom one letter at a time. So I'm glad I don't do N scale. And Luke, this hit what can we do for a better? I mean, it has the wrong hatches, I know, and that spawned a whole project, the sand car project. And the next thing you know, the society produced these cars through Mike Polsgrove, and they put Bowser kits together. You got the decals in the kit. They did Circus City did the decals. Just because of me asking the question, Ken Soros did a full article of the history why these were produced in the 50s, what the service was for them. So that was a neat project. Like Luke says, the rabbit hole.
I grew up, nobody around here modeled the Soo Line. The only thing I could see was this crazy Bob guy in these magazines doing all these
crazy Bob
Soo Line projects.
Dude, no one should have done the Soo Line. I don't know what we were thinking back then. There was nothing available back then.
On the bandsaw, and now I get to talk to him all the time, and we chat all the time. And he's asking me for ideas on how to do stuff. I think that's just the neatest thing. So if you have any mentor in the modeling, get to know them and chat with these people. It's amazing the people that you can meet in this hobby.
So what you're seeing now is this William is shooting the showroom sand tower. Now you can't do everything. I mean, there's only so much space in a basement. I can't do the roundhouse and the turntable, and that's why I envy Luke. He can do a turntable in the roundhouse. That's very cool. But so I did the sand tower scene down at showroom here. So
is that one of the Dolly sisters there?
That is one of the Dolly sisters. That is correct. And there's the 2381 sitting there.
Oh, look at that.
Yep.
That is cool.
I did do a model of the 415, but after doing more research, it was never here. It was orphaned up in the Twin Cities. That's one of the few that they kept close to home up in the Twin Cities. So it would never fit in with what I model. So I still have it. I gave it to Joel Weeks, who models the Great Northern and part of the Twin Cities, and he needed a power for transfer. And I'm like, play with it all you want. At least I know where it is, and at least it's getting some views. So one of my dollies is at Joel Weeks' house.
That's pretty cool. It's neat that Frank Jordan has a shot in his book from a few years ago of one of the Dolly sisters and a couple F units coming down through Dresser from Superior in 1977, which is exciting for me, of course.
Right.
And Dan Poitras took the shot, and it's like Luke said, to venture out of the Twin Cities was rare, but it did happen occasionally. I mean, when I was a kid, I remembered seeing them up here, and I didn't know what they were at the time. I'd go home and try to draw that funny looking nose. I had no idea they just had the two of them. But so we go shoot that meet over there, William, at Cardigan.
Sure.
Okay, we have a Superior train meeting the 12 miles of double track at Cardigan came together at East Cardigan, so they made frequent meets there. So now William is going to go shoot the meet. This 940 train is going to meet this Superior train. He's got to wait for that Superior train to come. So I forgot what engines are on this, so it should be interesting, William.
So when I'm trying to learn about the Soo Line, this is one of the books I picked up, and it's a Frank Jordan book, Bob's best friend, and it's chock full of Bob Rivard shots. So this is what I'm trying to study to learn about the Soo Line, and here I get to meet these people and talk to them. That's just kind of big stuff for me.
This is crazy. I mean, so this is one of the other huge, I guess, value points of being a part of these organizations, right?
Yeah.
I mean, especially for me in the Historical Society. Oh, look at this! Wow.
Yeah. Meeting the 737. Bob's got the good airplane number.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Once again, I would like to apologize again. I think there's about 5 airplane numbers.
Yeah, Bob took all of the airplane numbers.
Well, I did that many years ago.
All is fair.
That's what I stand by.
Railroading.
Correct. That is correct. Like the Soo had a 777. Yeah. Just like the movie, right?
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so right. This has been an ongoing project. Is staging these concepts of these trains. Like this Superior train has the appropriate Superior revenue, Canadian Nationals.
Now,
Rock Islands.
Meeting people that lived in the place that you model too. Bob By lived right across from the Menina Yard, and Bob was over. Bob By was here a few times early on, and he's like, "You don't have enough CP 40 footers," and I'm like, "What?" He's like, "CP 40 footers lasted well into your area." He's like, "You need more CP 40 foot." So I went on this quest, and I was buying any CP 40 foot boxcar that I could find, just to find the information to get the feel of all this stuff correctly. Or like Lou Gerard shots. Lou went out and shot all kinds of stuff in my era, 77 to 79.
There we go.
And Lou's got some, and every time I see a Lou Gerard shot, I'm panning in to see what kind of cars were in the trains. Like Bob was saying, trying to get the accurate. Is that the one with the fake windows?
Yeah, yeah. That's always that always makes my day when Luke has to ask me, "Is that one of those fake opera windows you do, Bob?" Well, yes, it is, Luke.
Yeah. So does the leader have opera windows? How do you know that Bob actually cut those in? So like the extra cab windows on the side of the cab. That's most EMDs like that had on the Soo Line had those extra cab windows, and they were plated in 80. So that's a real distinct feature that you got to put into these. So I'm hoping that when Scale Trains comes out with more 40-2s, eventually they'll come up with the extra cab windows in there.
So there's a question from the audience. Astro Knight 118's asking, those GP30s have odd trucks. I've seen.
Oh, yes, they do.
Yeah,
They
I've
certainly
seen
do.
EMDs with
They're-
trucks like that before. Why do they
Well,
have
that
them
brings us
instead?
that brings us back to our previous discussion on how frugal the Soo Line was with their F units and their when they purchased their Jeep 30s. We're going to trade the Alco FAs in when we buy the 30s and just put those old crummy old Alco trucks under our brand new engines. And that's what they did. A handful of railroads did that. You know, the GM&O did that.
Yeah.
Milwaukee Road had
Milwaukee
Alco
Road.
trucks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Same with the
Yep.
Jeep 38.
In fact,
They got
the Milwaukee
the-
Road trucks were actually
Oh.
the Milwaukee Road was so frugal. They took the RS3 trucks off, put those under the Jeep 30s, and then they put blunt trucks under the RS3s, which was just insane. But whatever.
Didn't the F unit trucks go under the 38s too? I think they did that with the 38. That's where the 38s had those dual class trucks.
Yeah.
The Jeep 38s were referred to as F unit killers because the Sioux ended up doing the same exact thing when they purchased the Jeep 38-2s. Let's put the old F unit trucks to get a little trade-in allowance and put the old F unit. So all these Jeep 38-2s that you would see run around have the F unit trucks under them. They don't have the newer 38 trucks that Athens.
Unbelievable.
So you always had to change out your truck. So another fun thing you have to do when you model the Soo Line.
So I actually have a shot of a Soo Line locomotive that I took. It's not a good shot, but it is a shot of one of the last years it was painted in the regular, let's just for lack of everything else, white and red paint scheme before it got painted candy apple. Do either one of you guys have the 752 or the 785?
I did the 780. No, I think I did the 775. Luke, did you do the 785, Luke? I think you might have.
Let me look up. I got the roster here.
I have a picture that I took in 1988 of that in Neenah.
785. Bob has got the 785.
Okay.
782.
752.
752. 52 is a straight 40, and I have the 752.
Okay.
So, if you don't mind, I can share my screen here, if we don't mind. Let's see here.
Ooh.
I gotta figure out how to do this quick. Share my screen and come up to. Nope, that's not it. Here we go. There you go, Luke. I've actually taken photos at Neenah, but here's the thing that caught my eye. Now this was like 1988-ish, so I would have just graduated high school, or well, no, I would have been in high school still because of the snow on the ground. This would have been like March, like right around March. I have the back of the photos. I actually labeled them, and it just says. I didn't know that they were 40s or 40-. I just put them all as 40-2s, but it says Soo Line at Neenah. I didn't put a date. But what is really interesting to me is because you've been in Neenah too.
Yep.
Look at this building right here, that garage. I never even knew that even existed because when I started working down there, that was gone.
Yeah, the roundhouse was still.
The roundhouse was still here. The roundhouse was still there, but this building right here was gone, I believe.
Oh, yeah, that's the. There was an addition on both sides of that.
Yeah, so this part was gone, and this was parking lot.
I'm surprised it lasted that long.
Yeah, this is the kind of stuff that we talk about. Like,
that's all that did. Okay, so your picture. You know what? The first thing I noticed.
That
horn placement.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so, it's not on the side of the angle of the cab right here.
Side of the cab is my era. If it's on top of the roof, it's too late for me. They didn't start doing that till 80.
Yep, and this is a 1988 photo. So and then I'm
scrolling through photos, and I'm like, horn on top. You know, I know it
yep.
doesn't fit in to look for details of the engine.
So here's another picture. This is 88. Look, you know, everything's still
overpass.
There's no overpass here.
Yep.
You're looking back at the foundry. Look at the gantry crane is still up at the foundry.
Yep.
This is all still wide open. Main Street doesn't go over the top.
Main Street was late though. Main Street was still on the ground when I hired on.
And then let's see here.
There was a bar at Main Street I really wanted to model, but I just couldn't fit it in. That bar on the corner of Main and Union. That was.
Oh yeah. Right by the Octagon House.
Across the tracks from the Octagon House.
Across the tracks from it.
There was a Soo Line. Was it the Soo Line bar or something? It was just a real distinct building. And I'm like, I wanted to squeeze that in, but it would have been in the aisleway. And I'm like, I guess we're going to cut that one out.
Well, this is a 785. And in either 89 or 90 or early 90, this was painted candy apple.
Yeah.
So this is like one of the last pictures I've ever seen of the 785 in this paint scheme. Because it wasn't very long after this that
they're also
it was
hockey sticked too.
What's that?
They're also hockey sticked, so the red and white is straight, not curved.
Yeah,
That's
it doesn't have, and that's right here.
It came off the parallelogram era kind of stuff.
Yeah,
that was let me get my 558. Bob and I just did the 558.
Oh yeah, we both have done that engine.
Here's I was not good with a camera back then at all. But every time I see these, I'm like, boy, you know, I'm happy that I did this because these are the only 2 units that I've ever taken of actual Soo Line power that was during the Soo era. Everything else I've taken after this has been post Milwaukee Road. So, well, I mean, I shouldn't say that. This is all post Milwaukee Road, but it's all Soo, like in a Soo town, in the Soo yard. I mean, this is just nothing but Soo Line.
Maybe,
you know.
Oh, in the rock.
And matter of fact, this would have been 80. This would have been 88.
Yeah. So
if this is 88, this would have been like WC.
Could have been. They had some run-throughs that were going to.
Yeah, I just happened to think of that. This would have been WC era.
So that straight line was kind of was a later 80 thing or in the 80s they started repainting them. They just went straight to the thing. This was the only Jeep that got painted with that straight line, Jeep 9. And Athearn actually did it. But after they got the Milwaukee Road, the numbers were the same as the SD10, so they renumbered the Soo units. So Athearn Genesis did it, but as a post-Milwaukee Road number.
Yeah.
I never bought it. I was thinking the hockey stick and the Milwaukee Road number was too late for me, so I never bought this thing. Then I find a picture of it in 79, still with the hockey stick back in this 3-digit series, and I'm like, oh no, I gotta find one to model that one. So I tracked down a Genesis. I think I got that from Greg Taylor, and we stripped the numbers off and redid it. So now that was kind of a neat one. But you know, the water tanks were removed, so I made a smaller fuel tank for it. And yeah, it's the little details that I think are kind of fun.
Yeah.
All right.
Invergrove. Or is that? Yeah, that's Invergrove.
We're back at Shoreham.
Well, we're going to talk about my latest decoder project. So it's the first time running it. So here goes nothing, you guys. So
this is so neat.
We're going to fire it up. I don't know. I forgot what engine it even is because it's in the house. So I guess we're all going to find out together what the engine is here. So let's fire it up.
I've seen several shots of Bob's Rock Island facilities, and you think this is the neatest thing, but I bet you William's laying on his belly right now to try to get this.
Oh, shot. You know it is.
He's on the what is it? He's on the creeper with the wheels. You know. Creeper? Yeah, no. I need wheels on my stools down here. Don't.
This scene is like mid shin height.
Well, yeah, all my friends like Greg Smith, Jim Henshaw passed away a few years. They took pictures down here back in the day in the 70s, and they refer when they see my photos. Bob, you don't have enough dirt and grime on the tracks because it was complete grease in the rails down there.
Yeah, I mean, this is every square inch of that basement is full of railroad. And I think that's kind of neat.
Yeah, I do scenes down here that I have no business doing, but what the heck, Like I said, I'm not going to worry about it now. I may in a few years have to worry about it, but you never know. Anyway, here comes our surprise engine here. Let's see what happens. I think I need to. Let's see what direction we're at. Okay.
Blowing out the back of the roundhouse. There you go.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Who doesn't love a Rock Island switch engine?
I don't know. That is a very good question, Mike. Now,
Rock Island is beautiful.
The Rock Island also did not. Now, this is an engine I did many years ago. In fact, the Rock Island, I have this nice decoders in there, but they didn't have flashers. Like the Soo had strobe flashers and various types of strobe flashers, which is neat about the decoders right nowadays. But so I opt for things like I'll put the ground lights on. Yep. Right. So there's function 5 instead of a flasher. I'll have the ground lights come on and you can turn those off and on. And of course the headlights. Now, the interesting thing about this switch engine, I did also the Minnesota transfer engine you saw tonight. Remember the old Carry body, the Carry model?
Yep.
Made this white metal. That's what these are modeled from. So they weigh like 2 pounds, which is nice for pulling. But like the other night when I was putting the decoder in the 944, I realized, well, I want the back headlights to come on all over the cab. So next thing I'm drilling out that white metal so I could get the fiber optics through the holes to light up I want both ends to be able to light up. So
right.
And those are the old Carry metal bodies, and still a nice looking body. And like I said, they weigh a ton for pulling, which is nice. So, but to get a decoder and a speaker in a switch engine is never really fun.
It's a challenge.
It's always a challenge. Yes. So that was my project the other night. So every so often I'll see an engine. It's like, I think I'll surprise Frank and put a decoder in this engine. In fact, he doesn't even know about this one yet. So I'm going to have him run out of the house when he comes over, just like I did for you guys. So
that's the neat stuff with Bob. One of the things that Bob would run up to the tracks and watch as a kid was they had a Rock Island transfer. So he would probably describe it better, but it was a transfer from the Rock Island to the Soo Line, but it came off the Rock Island with Rock Island power for the Soo Line crew. So the Rock Island.
In fact, that engine you're seeing back there, the number 311, I've really gotten into lately. My goal is to recreate actual lash-ups from photographs, like Greg Smith's photos, my photos, magazine photos. So this was an actual lash-up in 1977. It coming into Shoreham with the 311, and so 2 months ago I found a Walthers does a Jeep 35, and that's how I modeled that. And they had their first batch of Jeep 35 did not have Rock Island on the side. So very simplified, but I did the correct numbers, the number boards. These had silver trucks, and
I'll be darned. I didn't know that.
So that was a fun project.
It's the ordinary.
Yes, exactly, Luke. Exactly. I would love to have done like the one next to it they had Jeep 35s and Jeep 40s with the speed lettering. Yeah. I'd much rather, but this is an engine I have my own photo of, and I want to model that for my lash up. So, and it had some nice weathering on it too. So there was rust spots on the nose and lots of grease and grime.
So that's another question that comes up here. So you guys go far as the lash ups, and modeling, the 311 and its mate. Do you even go so far as to model trains, like with the cars in the correct order?
There was a Lou Gerard shot of a Conrail grain train. He actually got it at Cecil Street in Neenah. It was all like Penn Central.
Yeah.
Those jade green hoppers with a couple of Conrail gray and brown and stuff. I modeled the whole consist, 4 engines, and when scale trains first came out with those low hip covered hoppers. I
Yes.
bought any Penn Central one I could find. It was a bit more than I wanted to spend on a grain train, but it's a really neat grain train. Same with there were just some shots of there was an ADM unit train shot at Stevens Point. They had an M&S unit on the lead. I should actually model that one too, but just solid M&S cars and stuff.
Well, that's what, to me, Luke, when you run across a photo, and
Yeah,
I always am interested to try to figure out, I wonder what train that was and where was that train going? You know?
yeah.
And that's to what number it might have been, trying to figure out by the, like I have that one video I took in 79, one of my first videos, and it's the 710 when it was still crusty looking with the B unit, which is, we were talking about the C units,
Oh yeah,
F unit, and the pusher on the back, and it's like, one reason I think it might be a train 16 because it had the sand car in it. Well, those were always set out at Chippewa Falls for sand, as per the article, of course, that came out. So,
Luke, it's kind of like, and Bob, it's kind of like if you see like those, like we were talking earlier, if you see cast containers on a flat car, most likely that's number 11 coming from Sault Ste. Marie down into Fond du Lac. Those were almost always on the rear end of that train.
Even on the WC,
that makes sense.
You can really tell what the train was by the traffic that was on it. You can really
yeah.
And of course, the 940, the manifest train that came through here, of course, they always had the pigs on the front end so that at Sherwood Park they could just take them right off. But that's the big road freight back in the day. So this train here, William, I'm going to try to run. Of course, I don't have my line up here, do I? Set correctly.
So while you're sorting that out, Bob, a question from the audience here from Justin Hendrickson says, Bob, when you go to RPMs, do you take sections out of your layout, or do you have duplicate dioramas?
Oh no, I just have dioramas. I can take the Shoreham. A few years ago, I made a module for the Shoreham Sand Tower.
Yeah.
And I actually, well, that's what I did wrong. I actually made a module for the sand tower, so I can it's actually a brass sand tower. So that plucks out and the little steps come with it. And I can actually recreate that scene on a module now. That's in the garage. So, oh yeah, that was, and that's nice. I discovered this stuff that I use that pink foam, nice lightweight when I make my modules. And we were going to show off that garage door, weren't we? So that was my project last year, was motorizing my,
what?
In fact, Mike was suggesting that I put a motor in there. So here we're going to.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. Oh, that goes up a lot better, Bob, than it did at first.
Right. It still has a few bugs when it comes down, a little hitch. And of course, I rebuilt this a few years ago, my international paper. In fact, I went out to the real international paper. It's about 4 miles from here. And the gentleman, either one or two things are going to happen. I'm either going to get asked to leave, of course, or but the plant manager, Bill, was fantastic. He gave me a tour of the whole plant, and he was so proud. He said, had his forklift operator, Denny, pick up a load of paper for me in a boxcar. He said, you might want to roll on this on your camera phone. So, yeah. And so we have all the appropriate cars that came in here at the time. The TO&Es were very common. Any cars from the south that would carry those big rolls of paper, and they make containers, and they ship them out to like the Walmart and U-Haul around the Twin Cities. But they get the big reams of paper in these box cars, these big rolls. So that's what you're seeing here.
That's incredible.
I've got a question for both Luke and Bob, and you guys can fight over who answers this first. I've been to both your houses, obviously. So I mean, how on your layouts are you guys handling the quote unquote unseen part of the railroad? Like Luke, I know how your 11 and 12 comes in off the Shawano sub, your your Shawano turn. We know about those things. The Manitowoc job on your thing. I mean, these are all. I understand how that. But could you explain how you do that. And then Bob, could you explain also, since you're in a bigger city setting, how are you bringing the traffic from the west off of the Soo Line onto your layout, and also stuff that's coming from Wisconsin over the St. Croix River into your layout?
It's all
Yep.
it's all staging. Everything has a location and where it can go off scene. There's multiple of tracks, places to hide this stuff.
Is it all in one spot, or is it all in? Do you have multiple spots that you
There are
guys
multiple spots, like the shuttle sub's got its own labyrinth of track under there, and Manitowoc sub's got its own labyrinth, its own staging. I like reverse loops for my staging. That's one of the things that I love in my design and my layout. What goes up flips itself around and comes back down the opposite direction. So if there's work to be picked up at Neenah going east or going west, when it gets to point, it flips the whole train. So those cars that look like they go to Neenah are back on the head end. There's no moving power to the other end or caboose to the other end, and the short work to the other end of the train. Everything's always pre-staged. That's the one thing. Bob's is more linear with a loop, where it's all east-west traffic. So, yeah.
Things get a little hairy though when you go on to the Rock Island, though, right, William? They get a little more adventurous, I guess. But basically, like Luke was saying, the staging yards.
Yeah.
So like right now, William is shooting that. I'm running right now out of the staging yard back there, William, with that F unit, with Baldy. We called that F unit.
Oh yeah.
Baldy.
Yeah, it's the missing. Oh, you know what? I have the wrong throttle. That's probably part of my problem.
That's
There
the
we
one
go.
that's got no upper headlight, right?
All the
Correct.
CP 40 footers. Look at all the mass of CP 40 footers there.
Yeah.
Yes. That. Well, that's a 943 train. Just happens to have a bunch of CPs. You're talking about the orange CPs.
That is the ugliest F unit ever.
It is.
But the Rock Island
Jeez.
had one also, So
Yeah.
You wouldn't
Not
think
to be
Just looks
outdone.
weird.
You wouldn't think one little detail like a headlight casting would make that much difference to something, aesthetically wise. But that's
Right.
the first thing ever.
Baldy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
I got to redo my Baldy. My Baldy's got the wrong thing. I got another Stewart.
No,
later.
was that a Wisconsin Central unit originally? Because it's got four numbers.
Yeah,
If it's
four-digit
got four numbers, that should be the deal on that. Correct.
Oh, so there's a little insider knowledge.
No, I should
Correct.
not know this.
That's like the 2381, the one and only. That was a Wisconsin Central.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was 4 digits.
The
So-
original Wisconsin Central and the original Soo Line came together, but before that, they already had their fingers in each other. They were
Right.
anything was the
Sounds
2-digit or 3-digit was
graphic.
Soo Line, and the 4-digit was Wisconsin Central.
Right.
Headlight, come on, William. There we go. I'm gonna try to run this, but I have a little. There we go.
Wow.
There we go. Okay, let's try it now. I'm gonna try to. So this is an example of running a train. This is a train number. Oh, I see what happened. Okay, I'm not getting a response here from this engine. Of course, with the live TV, of course, things always happen.
Yeah.
It's always the way. See what happens here. Okay.
Get the critter.
Yep.
The electrical
Let's see what
critters
happens
come
here.
out.
Always. Yep. So let's see. Let me just make double sure here. Let's see here. Is that going to run?
Lights
Yeah.
are on, but it's not real.
Oh,
exciting.
it does it. I could have hit a button on here, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's what happened. Oh, okay.
The old drive hold.
That would be 9, I think, but I don't see that it's on now. So
It's camera shy.
unfortunately.
Sparky.
Exactly.
It has performance anxiety.
It's always the way. All right.
Hey, Luke.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's another question for you. And so with having your layout going through a major metropolitan area in the Fox Valley in Oshkosh.
Yes.
How have you found modeling the main line through that area? How challenging have you found that to be? Because it's not enough to just, and I know how you are with your mindset with stuff. It's not just enough for you to say, oh, this is a close enough house. Oh, this is close enough. Are you finding that in doing your structure research, you're finding more information about things that went on in the Soo Line that you didn't know before?
Part of it, yeah. When I designed the layout and I left a slot for Oshkosh, I left the one wall that was where the bridge is now. I worked for the railroad and I've run on the line that I modeled. So I got to see a real good insider's point of view. But through Oshkosh, you had the Soo Line and the Chicago Northwestern going through town. Just before I hired on, they gutted the Soo Line side of it and ran everything through the C&W. So I knew what was there, and I knew some stuff was there, but I didn't know all the information of that line. When I started doing more research on that, opened up this huge can of worms of all the stuff that was there. And the more I found out, the more neater all that stuff was. The Soo Line ran parallel to Northwestern, and then coming up from the south, they cut across on the Milwaukee Road bridge, so they kind of spread apart from each other, and they make the missing link together to connect everything together. They ran up Division Street. They did it like on a Sunday, was the story that I heard, and went, oh, well, the tracks are already here. We're going to leave them in now. But they put them right up people's front yards.
Oh, trust me, I know. I actually was lucky enough to run on that. I've hit many refrigerators and washing machines.
It is the most, if you saw it, you would think it's maybe like industrial branch line kind of stuff, but that was the main route, Chicago to the Twin Cities. I mean, it was, I don't know if Andy's can have any, we have any Division Street photos that'd be handy to grab, but it was treacherous. But I'm like, how do you not model that? You model Oshkosh, you got to model
Right, you got to model Division Street.
If anybody went to take shots of Oshkosh, it was Division Street. Yeah, that's it. That's the main line.
And literally in your front yard.
In your front yard.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
I remember the guy saying it was garbage day. You'd go down there and you would just make garbage can after garbage can.
I remember I could on the WSC. I remember one time myself and Paul DeShadow, we had an air issue, and I literally saw a guy and he says, "You guys need help?" I said, "Do you got any duct tape?" He gave me a roll of duct tape, and right out of his front yard, he went to his garage, got a roll of duct tape, came back, gave it. I wrapped up an air hose so that way it would stay up together, and cleaned up a leak. So that way it wouldn't, keep leaking and stuff like that. Gave him the roll back, and we left. And we blocked the entire town doing this.
Yeah, I mean, you came in with 100 cars, and you went right through downtown.
Right through downtown, and it wasn't a straight line either. It kind of snaked from one side of the street to the other, and it was weird.
It made a massive S curve double back on itself to come back across the bridge. It was not mainline material, but that was their main line.
Yeah.
How do you not model that? That was the biggest thing that I came up with. So the more research I'm doing, okay, the house that's just to the front of the engine.
On the left or to the right?
The right of the engine.
With the red roof.
White house. I modeled that white house. Just because that's a shot. Is that that's a Ludger or Mike Rea? So that's either Mike or Bill Rea. Might have been his dad.
Mike,
yeah. So those two were standing right next to it. Lou Gerard's got another shot that has more of the White House. So between Mike Rea's shot and Lou Gerard's shot, I got enough of the house to be able to model the house.
Yeah.
It's stuff like this that I've been piecing together for years, trying to get all this stuff to model like certain things like that of these structures. But there was like 8-9 blocks of this. I have like a block and a half of this kind of stuff. The more you learn, the more you wish you could model the structure next to it. There's an Oshkosh group on Facebook, and I was posting some of my modeling about this stuff, and people are like, "Oh, my grandma lived in the house right next to that," or I lived in that because the college was right there. And like, oh, I rented that place as a college when I went to college there. There's a laundry, like 3 blocks to the north. There's a laundromat in the corner of Division Irving where it slices over to the other side. And people are like, oh yeah, I used to go there to wash my clothes all the time. There's that laundromat. So it's like, okay, I guess I got to model the laundromat now too. But yeah, it was the research to do this stuff has been the most fun for me.
Yeah, it's neat. It's a neat little area in Oshkosh, right by the campus too. It's so crazy.
Oh yeah,
by the college.
Yeah, yeah. There was stories of college girls and stuff like that in the second story windows, and so how do you not model that stuff? So there's
that's an Easter egg that's on your layout, isn't it?
Yeah. There's a few of that kind of stuff. So.
All right, back to Shoreham. Bob's still attacking the gremlins here.
We got a little bit of a high.
We got the Dremel out.
Yeah, I got the Dremel out. This is live television, folks. This is just that switch point bar. The throw bar is just a little high there, and I think that's what's. Just got to take just a little off there. All right. Now we're gonna.
Bob's not afraid to whip out the big tools too. That's when he was redoing some stuff. He moved some stuff, and he got a reciprocating saw to try to open some stuff up. I got a call.
That was the wall. That was the wall.
There's something else going on.
Luke. Yeah, there was a wall right when you walk down the stairs. I get a call the other week. He's like, "This is the best tool ever. I'm cutting all kinds of stuff out with this thing."
That's why that's why that metal beam is standing right there, is because that was a wall right there at one point, and that whole display cabinet got pushed back, right, Bob?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was then when the wall came out, I took the wall down and then I was able to build that display cabinet.
Yeah.
And it opened things up so nicely. You can see other areas of the basement now, and because there was that paneled wall that was there. Now that used to be a closet where the shelf is for all the engines. So that was a nice project. That helped a lot. You can look over here from here and see Cardigan, and
we're back on underway, Bob.
We're back underway. We had to replace Baldy with a different engine, so I don't know, something was going on with the drive holder, whatever feature that is.
I will say this much about Bob's layout is that if you are not in shape, you definitely will be by the time you get done at his house. You will do more bending, twisting, and up and down than you have ever thought you would do ever. And every time you go to a different section of his layout, the scenery is just your scenery, Bob, is just immaculate. It's awesome.
Very good.
It's really cool.
And left too, behind the staging yard, behind New Brighton, there's a whole nother world behind that wall.
Oh yeah.
You gotta do the army crawl on your elbows to get to
that's what William and I did that on the first episode. We're not doing that again tonight. That's for sure. William.
William,
we could, but
William, watch your head, bud, because don't stand up right there because that's where the steps are.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Mike, you're exactly right. You do know my basement.
Yeah, because I've hit my head more than one time on those stairs.
Right? Well, funny about now, a few years ago, I had William's gone. Okay. Oh, I had a train sitting there. That's right. I forgot about a train I had sitting there at Benjamin Street. I stopped them. Okay. Well, that's cool. Yeah, under the stairs, I actually widened it. I had to suck in the bench work a little bit and redo my curve. That was one of my other retirement projects. Taking a couple walls down here and there, and
Didn't you open something up at Cardigan Junction too to make that scene right by the Y?
That was the bathroom. That was so now the Y sits over the toilet. So, but that, it is what it is. But it's like that really, because what I had before, the Y was still over the toilet, but I had portholes. So I had a couple scenes. Arlington was one where I was camouflaging the portholes the best I could with trees, and William remembers how that was, and for the most part, it was okay. But I open these scenes up now, and it's just a different world now. I got rid of the portholes. So, like Arlington back there at Park Junction is one.
Getting a call from Bob. This is the best tool ever. I could cut so much stuff out with this reciprocating.
Yeah, the Sawzall. Yeah. So this train, for example, we know it's a train 21 coming back. When it went out to Chippewa Falls, it was 16. When it came back, it was train 21. And so one way you know that is he's got a sand car in there. So he's coming, and there was only 3 of the sand cars were designated for Shoreham because they had the special sand appliance that Mike Paulsgrove produces, the IMCO sand appliance, right, Luke?
Yeah, there's IMCO in there. There's
and yours is the other one. The Fond du Lac's the other one, isn't it? The other.
Yeah.
But Mike does both of them, which is kind of nice. That's the device that sucks the sand out of the sand cars and puts it up to the top of the sand tower. And the Soo had special fixtures on the bays of the cars, and
carbon
Mike
black car too. Yeah,
gives you that.
To be clear.
Yeah.
You got the carbon black car from the.
Yep, there comes. Oh yeah, that's the other telltale. That comes from Uniroyal in Chippewa Falls. Yep.
So how did you know that like the carbon black came from there? Did you have manifests that? Well,
one of the ways was because Marv Koenig back in the day had a fantastic model railroad. He modeled Chippewa Falls to New Richmond, and so I knew about Uniroyal. In fact, I took video there before he had to tear it down. So that was one of the scenes was the Uniroyal plant at Eau Claire. So that's why I knew about those. And Frank Jordan, he's so knowledgeable about freight cars and freight car movements, and he keeps me in the loop on things like that. Bob, you need one of these scale trains cars, because it's appropriate for these trains we're running.
I need to get. That's one of my cars to build is that carbon black car. The Gone.
That big long Gone
with the balloon with the big bags in it, with the round ends and a big. See, why? I have been poisoned by the Soo Line.
No, look at it. Look at it as an awakening, Mike.
It's not an awakening. It's not an awakening. It's a disease.
Plus, there's always that chance that we can get Mike Paulsgrove to produce that car for us too, right, Luke?
Yeah,
that's a really weird car, though, Bob. That's a really weird car.
Problem is, Luke has the shot. It's at Shoreham. That car, remember?
If you go in my group under albums, there should be an album of all that carbon black car.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a look and see if I can find that right now, Luke. I'll go to the group and see if I can find it.
Well, speaking of Shoreham, Douglas Hildebrandt just came out with. He does these videos. He has a drone. He just came out with the coolest video about the history of Shoreham.
Yes.
So if you get a chance, it's really well done. He does the drone shots and the history. He's got some of my shots in there, some of my videos, and he just does an amazing job on his videos. What is it? It's SD45 7500 YouTube channel, and it just came out today, and it's really well done.
Hey Andy, can I share the screen, please?
Yeah, go for it.
All right.
Here, I'll put the link to that video in the chat.
Here's that carbon black car that they're talking about.
That's at Van Dyne.
That's at Van Dyne, right? Yep. And I'll see those are the bags. Those are the empty bags that were of the carbon that was. They're just shipping them back, empty in the bags, empty in the car, and that's with the bags full.
Oh, okay, interesting.
But you see the difference in the sizes of the bags? they're not uniform. They're
No,
not. They're not uniform. They're not inflated the same all the way across. And then see, they have this really weird. It's almost like it's on a FlexiVan frame almost. Because that's what this looks like, is like an old FlexiVan frame from like, and then they put a gondola with a rounded end on it. And then, like Luke says, this is a rectangle with a half a circle with a half a circle.
Yeah.
With
I got some ideas bouncing around in my head of how to make it.
This is a triangle with a compound curve around it, whatever. But these are, to model this is, I think you should model it with actual bags that inflate and deflate.
Oh boy, like the weed sprayer wasn't enough of a project with working.
Yeah.
Nope. We're no longer going to be friends if you don't model it with bags that inflate and deflate.
Well, I want to do the deflating
No,
bag. Tiger shots got him.
If he can do it to me, I can do it back to him. So
I mean, Luke brought over his weed sprayer last spring, and he put a decoder in there so that the sprayer wings unfold with a decoder with a servo motor.
Look at the
it's like, wow.
Look at the end of this car though. It is narrower. The car is actually narrower than what the end of the car is.
It's a goofiest looking thing.
It's a really weird looking car. It's almost like the gondola part is balancing on that center sill. Yeah, they're
on the hind end of a Soo Line train. I think that was a Stevens Point shot or something like that.
Yeah.
One of the C-Vision videos got a shot at Junction City. It's a real daylight shot. Yeah, Darren sent me that one.
Yeah. And
then, William, I'm gonna run that 700.
Here's one with it was wrecked, or one of them was wrecked.
I'll get to that car yet, but
this one's different though.
Yeah.
This one's different. This one, the ones that we see on the Soo Line have got all the ribs on it, and this one is a similar design, but it's like
angle braces.
Plus it has interior pockets here that are exposed. It's like a completely different car. And it doesn't have, it's actually wider. So it doesn't, this car is completely different.
If anybody's got information on that, Greg, that's
a Tim Woolridge.
Greg
right?
Smith got.
Oh, Greg Smith?
Yeah, that's someone harvested that from Greg Smith. But yeah, that's the Twin Cities. That's Shoreham Yard.
Because is that a 72-foot car?
I don't know. It changed reporting marks too, so I haven't been able to really track it down. I haven't done any research on it lately, but
was there only the one? Is this one of one?
No, there was a fleet of them. It wasn't a very big fleet, but I should look in the OER books. We should be able to get some dimensions off of it.
Yeah, remind me to do that over the next couple of weeks. We'll get together and we'll figure this out.
Yeah, but this is the weird stuff that's kind of fun to model. Another shot for you. This is aren't you? You're stomaching this pretty good, Tag. I'm pretty proud of you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Right.
Thanks.
Here we go.
I haven't. It's
nice.
It's like feeding your kid like green peas for the first time. You're gonna shove it. You're gonna shove it in his mouth, or else they're not gonna eat. That's what's happening.
Delicious. The 700, that lead unit.
I ran that one.
When did the battery box change on that one?
Oh boy. You would ask me that. That could be around 1980-ish.
I've seen shots in 79 with it. The 700 and the 700 got their battery boxes flipped around. And it's appropriate for my era. So that's one of the things. Because those two units lasted all the way to the WC.
Yep.
Using both those units, and they still had the battery boxes flipped.
Wait, is that the 700?
The 700, yeah.
700, the 715. I remember seeing that one getting cut up in Fond du Lac.
No, that's the one.
715.
No, that's the one that's at the museum, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a Green Bay Museum.
That's a Green Bay Museum.
That was the convention, Luke. That was one of our favorite conventions, right, Luke? Where we're in the roundhouse at Fond du Lac for our banquet, and we had the 715 and a SD45 on the other side. Painted WC, and we donated it right museum at that point in
I
time.
wasn't at that one. That was before I got active in the society. But there was another one at Fond du Lac too. I think I just hired on, and they're like, "Oh,
Okay.
One of the things was they going to Fond du Lac and tour the shops," and I'm like, "I see the shops every day at work when I want to turn to Fond du Lac." I'm like,
Yeah.
I think I poked in for a little bit at the convention, but I was still new to the society back then.
Should see if the Green Bay Museum would let the society repaint that 715 into original Soo, back to its original paint scheme.
I thought there was talk of moving it to Oshkosh at one time they wanted to
like as a display.
As a display, and there was talk of moving it and painting it or something, but that never panned out.
There goes the flame too.
Well, the 712, I remember. Man, I got pictures of that stuff. I've seen pictures of the 707.
You gotta have.
There's another airplane number, Luke. Sorry.
Yeah, 707. Yeah.
All the good numbers.
Luke, I couldn't help myself. I had to do one. But
I gotta do
you just
yet.
So Bob, is there a okay, so basically what's next for your layout? What is next? I mean, are you looking at, or is there something that you really want to model that you haven't had the time or the resources to actually get around to doing yet that now you might be able to?
Well, some of the projects were what we talked about last time, where I took some of these walls out, and that helped a lot. Where I could do Wheelock Parkway into the Helix at Park Junction, and I have too many scenes down here. But it's ongoing project has been replacing pieces of road bed, because there was a piece coming out of the Helix I did a couple weeks ago. See, when I built the railroad, I used particle board for a lot of my, for the Helix, and particle board works, I found out. But at the time, I didn't have anyone to guide me use plywood, don't use. Well, so because I used Homasote, I'm able to go back and put shims under the Homasote and actually tamp up the track just like the real railroads do. So that's been an ongoing. In fact, I replaced a big part of the road bed back by the Helix where all three tracks converge back there with the pink foam. Pink foam is nice and solid. You can let it breathe, put shims under it, and attach your track with some little track nails if you want. But
how old is your layout, Bob? When did you start that?
About 1980 or so. But one of the scenes was the Highway 8 where William was shooting.
That's remarkably long for a layout. I think really good for that.
Yeah, it really has. But that is an ongoing project. Are these little pieces of benchwork track? I go to flea markets, I get extra switches. So if I have to replace a switch or a piece of flex track, I just replace the whole darn thing and relay it. And I want to get the railroad to a point where we can run it and be relaxed. I don't have these little, like I saw a trouble spot there when that train 16 or train 21 was leaving. I'm going to have to work on that later on. So I have to put a little yellow pin in there, I guess, right? but like these walls, that was a project, was these taking these walls down and getting rid of the portholes and
the projects never end on a monster like
no,
that.
the engines, the freight cars. Frank's always finding freight cars for me to model, so we get the tangents have been really these are tangents right up here, William, at 35W. These were on my workbench 2 days ago. Now they're down on the railroad. So that was the Welch grain. We got that at St. Louis this summer, and the Great Western. See, Frank Jordan is with me. Say, Bob, you need that one. You need that one. So okay. I don't need too many more, but but they're so appropriate for what we need them for and for our era. I mean, you get this tangent car, and I just add weathering. It actually has the ACI and the loop plates already on it.
They're so cool. They're
it's worth the money, and they have the roof locks. You can't go wrong. They get the nice metal roof locks. So, and here we're seeing some of my banded lumber loads from a few years ago. That was a project where I had Bill Brillinger do the decals as a decal. And what I do, I take trash bags, cut the trash bags apart for my wrapping, because nobody's really made a wrapped paper load that looks right. You really need that wrinkled, shiny plastic look. And I discovered using a trash bag, a garbage bag, and cutting it apart. And I wrap my lumber loads with that. And then I can put Bill Brillinger's decal on, the Canfors, as a decal. And that's how these are made. And then I did my own banding. I know Luke has a way he does banding. And I use the chart pack.
Yeah. Who thinks of decaling garbage bags, though? I mean, that's
no,
just,
and it's like and you see it, and it's like that's it, that's the look, that's what I want, and you do it. You don't want it perfect. You can have some ripped, you can have some without the logos on if you want. And
does Jaeger still make?
They do. I've used
load
theirs.
boxes. Yeah,
they do, but I make my own. I've just discovered it's I use my own balsa and but I have used theirs. And like I said, there's something about the look of that nice shiny, and it actually takes a decal just nice, wonderfully. You wouldn't think it would, but
you never think you'd be able to put Solvaset in a garbage bag.
And it's the correct shininess, right, William? Yes.
Well,
William's trying not to laugh.
Well, to be fair though, Luke, I mean, I've seen you create some pretty interesting stuff out of things that should be in the garbage in the first place.
Yeah, and I mean, pride myself on that. I do enjoy making stuff out of other stuff that people would cringe that I would not throw away. I mean,
using the foil from cigarette boxes
cigarette pack foil to make a
walkway tread,
and the tinsel for the banding.
Yeah, for my banding, I use Christmas tinsel. Take Christmas tinsel and put a Sharpie to it, and you can pull it through, and it makes real nice shiny banding.
Yeah, looks good.
And of course, every Midwest railroad in the 70s, William, needs a Red Owl truck, right?
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
I sure grew up. I grew up with going with my mom to the Red Owl store.
There's still one in Green Bay.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, on 9th Street, the Mason Brothers Red Owl, eh, Luke?
Yes.
Wow.
I think it is the only surviving one.
It may be. At least in Green Bay it is. I don't know how many more Red Owls there are.
I thought I heard it was the last surviving one.
Wow.
That's something.
That's a place to go then, I mean, it's a grocery store, but that's cool.
I see another interesting locomotive modeling situation. I see one of my train, I think that's I forgot if that's a Superior train or, let me go look at my cards here, William, real quick. I'll see what this is. Because I forgot what track it's on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. That is, that's that's the Sault Ste. Marie train to Shoreham, train 75. And what's interesting, there's the 1776. There's the bicentennial engine is on that. And now the Soo was the only railroad to paint a GP35 for the bicentennial in 1976. And I found out that's why you go into these conventions, as Luke will tell you, there's so much valuable information from. I heard Ron's not going to be here this year. He's always interesting to talk to. And Stu Nelson, he's usually there. I don't think he can make it. But I found out from one of our members it was Brad's cousin, Brad Newland's cousin.
Yeah.
Pete, and he confirmed that for me on Facebook. Was that I wanted to know when that 1776 got repainted back to the 727, because that would bother me. Like Luke will tell you lose sleep over stuff like that. So I found out it didn't get repainted till late fall, early winter of 77. So fantastic. I can run it now.
Yeah, so I have to do it as a 727. So.
Correct. Otherwise, correct. Yeah.
How about my favorite
another airplane number?
How about my favorite Soo Line locomotive?
Which one is that, Mike?
The one that I keep on bugging Luke that he has to rebuild and recreate.
Not the 2554. Oh,
yes.
Don't tell me that. Oh, no.
Yep. That absolute monstrosity of a locomotive has to get redone, Luke. I'm telling you right now, you need to.
It is on my list.
That actually was on my part 2 of things to talk about I wrote last time. I said, I've got it written down here. Soo 2554 Jeep 22, and we were going to talk about that. So you brought it up, Mike. So
It was
very cool.
a Jeep 9 that got trashed, wrecked, and they sent it back back to EMD to get work done, and they rebuilt it with a carcass of a Southern Pacific GP35. So basically, it looks like a cobbled together GP35 on a GP9 chassis.
It has a really weird intake on it.
It's got dynamic blister, but there's no dynamic brake blister. There's no dynamic brakes in it.
Yeah,
So
I would show it to you. I would show it to you, but I donated it to the auction a couple of years ago. So it was the last year, I think.
Look,
it's out of my era. So
let me go track mine down.
It's in the case.
No, what that mean? I think.
What? Oh, maybe it is. Maybe it is.
Yeah, because 78, it was actually wrecked in the wreck in 78. So I actually.
Am I wrong, Bob? Am I wrong? Is the reason it was numbered 2554 is because that was the Jeep 9 that was wrecked?
Well, yeah, I actually back in the day I would all the time, you guys. I'd ride my bike through Shoreham. Back then you could, no one kicked you out. Yeah, that's usually ended up getting a tour. Yeah, come here, son. I'll show you the roundhouse. You know, that's how it was back then. And one of the days, poke my head into the roundhouse, and there's the wrecked 2554. I took both sides of it, and I always had my camera with, and then later that year, in 79, it re-emerged as the Jeep 22. They called it the Beast.
Yeah, because there was a convention at Fond du Lac.
And it was wonderful. It was nice shiny paint. I have a video with the Dolly sister and the 2554 when it was new paint at New Brighton, one of my first videos. And remember Rick Johnson had a nice article. He did they had a Soo issue like in 1981, and Jim Kelly, I did one out of an Athearn, and it cuts it apart like a jigsaw puzzle, puts it back together.
Yeah, that's what I did. I did it off the Athearn.
It would be neat to do it from a Cato, though, I have to say.
Yeah,
that would be.
Either a Cato or a Rail Power product shell would be really good.
Rail Power would be good. Yep, to have the correct hood with. Yep.
Yeah, because it's the chunky Athearn cab.
I was gonna say that's the wide one, isn't it?
It's a wide one. Yep. Yeah, I mean it was good for one of my earlier models.
Good,
but it's got the dynamic blister with the fan patched out with the spark arresters, and the middle and the other fan are patched out, and the fans are moved back.
That's still pretty darn good.
It turned out, if you don't look at the cab, it's pretty good. Yes, I would like. It actually runs pretty good for what it is, but it's on a 35 chassis when it should have been on a 9 chassis.
Mm-hmm.
And it should have 9 step wells versus a 35 step well. A 9 step well is square; it doesn't have that angle to it. So
I got a picture here, Luke.
So that really bugs me on this one, but yes, it's on my list because it was in Fond du Lac in 79. So it's like I had to model it. Do you have shots of it, Ted?
I have a pretty decent side shot here. Hold on a second.
There's a shot from the Soo Society where they all got to get up on all the members of the society. That's where they took their group photo. It was on the side of the 7. There you go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so you see it's got the 9 and
right.
But it's got it
was a torpedo 9, so it had the longer tanks.
Right? Yeah, it had the longer tanks, so the air tanks are actually up underneath here over the top of the tank, right?
Yeah, it's been a while since I looked at the thing.
Because the true 9's got the air tanks on the back.
But the 9s with torpedoes had them up.
They were up. They would have been up here.
So it was a torpedo 9.
Yeah. Yeah, but they never played it over the grills, so the grill is still exposed. They didn't. I just think this is a neat little engine, and it's got porches on it. On each end, it's got actually a little stubby porch.
It's got some really weird dimensions too. It was dubbed the GP22 because it's the average of a 9 and a 35.
Yeah, but yet it retains its original GP9 number.
Yeah, the railroad still knew it as a Jeep 9. It was dubbed the Beast. It never performed well after that, I guess. And I don't know how long it made it. It never made it to Milwaukee Road merger. I don't think.
No.
Actually, we got the society books right here.
Here's a good question. Justin's got some good ones coming in tonight. Did the Soo have any other odd locos, one-offs besides the 2381?
SD9. They had one SD9.
One SD9. Okay.
2 RS-27s.
Okay.
That Beast.
They had
the Baldy.
Okay.
Baldy.
They had seven Jeep 7s.
You can see
That's
the air
how
tank
you remember
here.
that.
Scrapped 2554, scrapped 84.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it'll end up being a Farland terminal unit.
Oh, there you go. It'd be ugly enough for you.
But there you can see the air tanks right here.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, that's what I like the Soo. It's plain vanilla. Everybody called it with the white was just plain vanilla.
Cool.
And I think you need a lot of ordinary to make your odd look good.
So does the Soo Society offer any kind of equipment that anybody can go and buy? I mean, is there anything? Because the Soo had a very specific type of a box car that was specific to the Fond du Lac shops, right?
Yeah, the Soo Line built their own box cars.
Right there. There's a Fond du Lac car right there.
Yeah.
The 18004 is a Fond du Lac car. That's one of the society cars.
That's a 7-post, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Acurail made those for the society. Fox Valley Models makes them. There's a few different options. But the society, every year they would do like a freight car to model as a profit for a project.
I'll meet you at the flange squealer.
They haven't done with the past few years. Years ago, it was very difficult to model the Soo Line. There wasn't a lot commercially available. You had like an Athlete GP35 wide body that had that dynamic. Nothing was close. Chuck Duras made the comment to me that if you wanted to model the Soo Line back then, you had to carve a block. Everything was made out of a bar of soap. I mean, you had to like really modify everything. And that's what I really liked about Bob and all of his modeling, seeing this stuff in the magazine. I mean, if you want to do a U-boat, you chop it right down the middle of a bandsaw to make an accurate Soo Line model. Right. There's a covered hopper one. He took an Atherton covered hopper and cut the entire sides out of it and completely rebuilt the sides and re-ribbed it.
That was the big Chuck Darris project back in the day. Was that when the article from that was the Thrall cars. The Soo had all of those. And Atherton, they did that PS many years ago, and we always thought, oh, this is really cool. They did a nice paint scheme, but totally wrong car.
Yeah.
So and then once again, Rick Johnson came through and did the decals for me with his Alps printer, did the grain stock so I could do the blue panel. And I probably bashed 30 of those through the years and do the replaced with the right sides and the right ribs. It was just faster to do your own side, cut out an Atherton and put a new side in there with ribs.
But I mean, to go to that level to model the Soo Line, I thought was really fascinating.
Yeah, there's nothing easy with doing the Soo Line, is there, Luke? Now it's getting better nowadays. Now, I mean, Exactrail came out with that car, thankfully.
Yeah, it is way better. All the cars that the society came out with and the ones that the manufacturers are coming out with, it is way easier to model the Soo Line than it was even when I started doing stuff. 30 years ago.
So a few years ago, I'm at the St. Louis and I had to buy the flange squealer. And you're going to hear the flange squealer right about right there. So right at the curve, just east of Johnson Street, is where on my first video in '79, the flanges are squealing. And to this day, a few weeks ago, I was going on my bike ride at night, and the train's coming down the hill at Johnson, and their flanges squeal at that same spot to this day. So I just love the flange squealer. It's just so appropriate.
That's that product by Iowa Scaled Engineering.
Yes,
right,
that's
Bob? Yeah.
right. Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, not to keep you up anymore, Bob, but you could take some recordings of an actual train going through there and add it to the squealer so you get accurate.
This is pretty darn good. I'm still pretty happy with this. I don't know how they do it, but I'm very happy with it. So
I've been tempted to get one of those for the S curves at Nina.
Luke,
you need one of these. I'm telling you, they're just the coolest. You got it. They have the little speaker. Now, can I talk real quick also about my crossing gates, William? We're getting William over here. So last summer, that was my project. I had the Griswolds there for years, and Mark Chrysler did the Griswolds many years ago. They would come shipped to you with the servo already attached to them, so the stop sign would turn. It was marvelous. And those were at Johnson Street for many years. And it's always bothered me that my photo taken in 1976 of the rail train coming through here, doggone it, these gates are there in that photo. And they're brand new. It turns out, it got to the point where it bothered me. Last summer, took the Griswolds out. And these I found on eBay. Tomar makes these, and they're exact dead ringer for the ones that were at Johnson Street in my photo. So I finally did it. I replaced the Griswolds so the Griswolds are in a box ready for another project somewhere. But that was a neat project. And like I said, they're exact dead ringer for those gates. And here, go ahead. Yeah, you can activate it. And I like the Tomars. They have nice bright LEDs and
they're good looking gates.
And that's Chuck Stensel's logic rail system for the detection.
I love the slow action you have on the gates going up and down. He really did a good job.
His servo, does a servo motor for his gate board, and it's you can adjust the speed, and I think I'm happy with how the speed is right now. So
that's so cool.
You go.
Wow.
There's my MTC bus. That's one of those Rapido buses.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get them painted for the MTC for the Twin Cities. Is it you? Yeah, Craig Wilson does the Craig. Okay.
Does it have the red billboard on the side? Wasn't the detail you were?
Yeah, that was the U100. The radio station was. Of course, I went to high school in '76, so the station was only on the air for 2 years at 101. They called it U100. It's just I found billboards on the internet on a bus with the U100 billboard, and I reduced it to HO. So those are the actual billboard from an internet photo.
That's so cool.
But one of our guys that goes to the prototype meet, he was a disc jockey at the U100 on weekends for a while, and he likes to give me a hard time because he says, Bob, in '77 the station was off the air, it was gone, right? It turned into KDWB, and but I tell the gentleman that that's all right because they could have just left the billboard on the bus. It just fell through the cracks, so it's still running around with that billboard. So that's how I get out of that little situation. And they got the interior lights, I've got the 4B Bryant Johnson in the board in the front here, and that lights up. And William inspired me when he did his. He took his apart and painted it that pea green color, like cabooses are painted. And I had to do it to mine. So I've got some Chrysler people in there, and it's just a wonderful model.
Then there's that pacer.
How's that? It will put a little more. Lights show up a little better there, William.
Yeah.
That's good.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And these, you see these high tension towers?
Yes.
That's another item I kind of wish I could get somebody to make them for us, but they're kind of common around the Twin Cities, but they replaced them on Shoreham Hill. There's shots of these with the steam engine days on Shoreham Hill, but now they've replaced them with these goofy looking. They look like a tuning fork. So.
They do look like a tuning fork,
right? Those stupid rust color things, and the modern ones that they replace these old ones with. Not these, but and these I made with structural pieces, but they're very unique to the Twin Cities. There's still some along the Minnesota Commercial along County Road C.
Nice,
but really a unique structure.
Those are cool.
You have to do everything, as Luke will tell you, when you do the Soo Line.
Yeah.
You can't. There's nothing you can buy in a store, really.
Back to carving a block of soap to model.
Yes, that's what Marv Koenig called that with the remember the ballast hoppers that were white with the ribs, and
Yeah.
Rick did the decals. He did the decal set. Now I think Harold King does them, or did them.
Pan over to
But
me.
that was a bar of soap project. But I did a bunch of them. You have to have them because they got a little lower, size than the other ones.
It's like a slab side ballast hopper. The American Car and Foundry.
Why does it look like that's a weed sprayer, Luke?
No, it's a ballast hopper. But
is that piles of ballast?
It's a ballast hopper, yeah.
Yeah.
These things were everywhere on the Soo Line, though. Anytime you saw like a chunk of ballast or any type of ballast cars, one of these was in there. And this has been my goal to try to model one of these things yet. But they're interior ribbed. The outside is flat. The inside is ribbed. They're the goofiest looking little tube. So that's been my goal of why haven't people been. So I've been trying to cut up an MDC to try to flip the sides inside out, but the slope sheet's wrong and there's some other stuff. I want to try to model those. They were like the tank hopper. They were just they were ubiquitous. They were everywhere in any type of train.
Just scratch build one.
That's what I'm leaning towards. I think I have a plan to chop up an MDC. I think I can do it.
What kind of gates do they have on the bottom? Or they have are they crosswise or are they got to be crosswise, right?
They're lengthwise. It's
they're lengthwise, kind of like the Heart ballast hoppers.
It's got hand back to this guy. It's an MDC.
Oh,
It's got like the right side. So I think if I can find a rib side MDC, I got some plans. I think I can make one.
Does he hold on, Luke? Is he throwing the switch there? Our main man there?
No point.
Good with the lights working back and forth.
I have another Rocky Soo come up.
Yep, Rocky Soo.
So what's this? Oh, we're looking at a Rocky Soo.
Yep. I would think that's the Rocky Soo, wouldn't it?
Coming out of
Yes. There we go.
We have William on now.
So what is the Rocky Soo?
Transfer. Do we lose Bob? It's a transfer from the Rock Island, but it was a Soo Line train with Soo Line crew, but they had Rock Island power or whatever the Rock Island had on hand.
Okay.
So it was just basically garbage power.
Yeah.
Yeah, once again, Tom Murray a few years ago had a wonderful article in the Soo, and the Rock would provide the power at Invergrove. Soo crew would go down there. There was a little trailer they had there. They get the paperwork, get on the train, and they had their own caboose. It was always normally caboose 208. That was one of the plywood red cabooses with boarded up cupola. They had a transfer service only on the side, and that's in the article. Well, once in a while you would. Wide Vision would sneak on that train, and that was kind of cool. But the power could be anything, and Tom's article covers it so well because even one of the shots is a SP tunnel motor, and so all this exotic power would come up from Kansas City, up to the Rock. So you get Union Pacific Power, Southern Pacific Power, the Rock Island, the usual. Whatever they had, and they just handed it. Could be a couple of switch engines. You never knew what the crew would end up getting. But
sure.
Here's Greg Smith's photo from 1977 in the winter, and he chased this thing down to Foley Y in Northeast. This is up by my house here. In fact, it's that crossing right behind William. But that's that exact lash up right there with that same UP number. I did that last year, and that's the one of those Jeep 18s, proto Jeep 18s, which is the 1345. That's, like I said, I've gotten into doing the actual consists that ran on that Rocky Soo, not just power. It has to at least be the power numbers that ran up here. But the actual lash ups is really cool to do. So
that's really cool.
Guess from actual photos, you know. So here we go. We're actually now a few years ago, that was another project I did. It was a whole week's project. It turned into, my reversing at Cardigan was the Y that you're on now. And I wanted to make it be the reversing part in the yard. So when you're running a freight through here, well, it turned out I discovered I had all my blocks on the St. Paul sub were backwards. So I had to rewire all my wires back there, and there was tons of wire on the floor for a whole week. I had to troubleshoot areas. It was like I finally figured it out, and it's running pretty good now. So now we're at the leg of the Y. There's another project I did last winter. I wanted an operator to be able to just glance over and see, okay, coming out of the Y at Cardigan. So all this is a mechanical double pull, double throw slide switch with contacts, so I could hook up the contacts to my power source. So now when the Y is thrown for Cardigan, that you can see your indication there. So William is getting some nice behind the scenes shots there underneath here. So that was a neat project. Same with my my St. Paul crossover coming out of the Y at Cardigan. They could cross over to the other main. See, back when I modeled, it was called East and West Main. So they always tried to run their trains correct main, you know, like westbounds would be on the west main and eastbounds, of course. So this was another project, was this panel. So when I throw my tortoises, we can see now when our crossover is lined at Cardigan.
Oh.
And then that was a manual choke cable like a year ago. Now like I said, last winter, you know, our winters here, there's a lot of projects you can do in the winter.
Yeah.
It's like that, so that was a fun one. So
you're not saying you get any snow in Minneapolis, are you?
Well, you know, the last few winters haven't been a lot of snow, if I do say so. Couple of years ago, I was able to ride my bike every month. I seem to remember.
Wow.
Yeah, that probably won't happen again, though. Okay, here we come. We're going to leave the Y now. No, so, for example, this Rocky Soo, it might help if I put the number in here, right, William? What is that, 1345? 1345. Oh, man, there we go. Okay. See, it was that other throttle. That's right. Now, let's see if we have it. There we go. Okay.
Bob, is there a locomotive you really want to model that you haven't done yet?
No, like I said, I'll run across things like in the articles in the Soo Line, if they do an article on a certain engine, like these Rock Island engines. But yeah, Luke and I talk about this a lot. What engines haven't we done yet? And
we need the 766.
That would be a good one. I like I said, I'm still getting over the shock of you handing me that 736 project a couple of years ago.
I got more if you got time, Bob.
Well, the problem was I was out of my scale coat 2 weight paint, which fortunately you guys have helped me out on now, but that's my favorite paint. I'm so used to it. So then I had to get my mind around using that Tamiya stuff. And you just have to be careful when you're airbrushing that, because it can start glopping up on you, and that's what started happening. But now I'm back to the scale coat because Justin found me some bottles last year.
Hobby shop for you. Justin bring it to you.
Yep, I think I have like 3 or 4 bottles now, so I should be good for. Now I need the thinner. I got to figure out what they use for the thinner. Now, see, this is an example when they come out of Cardigan off of that Y that William is showing us at 694. I was just under this bridge today, by the way. They would have to throw the crossover. So now I've just thrown the crossover. So now he's lined to go from the short distance of he's on the east main now, but now he needs to cross over to the correct west main, so he's going to go through that crossover. So he's going
That
through the
highway bridge,
crossover.
is that one that you actually talked
That's
to?
694. Now, a few weeks ago, Frank Jordan and I were coming back from St. Paul from watching trains. Now, what happens at Cardigan, this Y goes back over the freeway. So they come off the St. Paul sub over the freeway and back over the freeway with the double mains here. So we happen to be an oil train going through there because CP runs all their westbounds on the St. Paul sub nowadays. And so it was kind of fun because we were on 694 and here's this big oil train coming. You're going under it twice on 694 when it's going over the two bridges over the freeway.
That highway bridge, is that one that you actually went to the DOT to ask for the plans for?
This one I just did on my own. That's the one over at New Brighton where it's built. 35W is built at a 7-degree angle to the freeway because of the plans that I got from the highway department. But this one here is built on a curve, a little bit of a curve. So, and then now he would of course stop and he'd have to get off and line the switches back there. And these signs, as William is shooting here, those junction 400 feet signs were all over the place. So that was a neat project. They're actually done from an actual photo.
I guess I've only got one more question for you, Luke and Bob. If in the future, if something, unfortunately, well, I shouldn't say unfortunately, if something were to happen where you decided you no longer wanted to do this, what would be your next thing you would want to do? Like, what would be your next layout you would want to build?
I would like to do Byron Hill. The same theory as what Bob has now is just model basically the hill. Model Fond du Lac Yard up to Byron.
And you could run a lot of trains through there. You do it in the Sioux days, of course, right?
Two days, and that had the helpers on the back.
Yep. But not, because I remember we went out there for one of the Sioux conventions, Frank and I, and then the next year we went out and they were double grade. They were graded it for the second main when the CN.
What would you model as far as like marsh?
I don't think I'd go that far. I think I'd get up to the top where it goes back to single main, just like Bob does at Cardigan.
So right in Byron itself. So you wouldn't have
Byron itself, get back to the main and take a helix back down right down the shops north.
So you would have quad graphics on there?
I don't know if I'd go that far.
I mean, just
William,
for something,
I'm gonna show you something
for some
here.
operations.
Maybe. Well, you'd have
good job.
Scrapyard downtown. You'd have some other stuff.
Yeah.
My deal would be, if I ever redid something over again, I might consider doing something a little more relaxing. Not even though I'm just doing the Twin Cities down here, but you can only get so much in a 30-foot by 30-foot basement. But last year I was having some issues with my crossing here at Lexington, and I even found a Pico curve switch that helps alleviate the curve situation. But I thought, until I'm 100% sure I've got the problems worked out at the crossing, it's under construction. So I built these little barricades out of metal, and they turned out really nice. So they just make it believable. So the crossing is under construction, which is kind of a neat little feature. So, but anyway, real fast, you were talking about the concept of what I think a neat thing would be to model from Cardigan to Withrow to Dresser, and then do the town of Barron. And you could run the local out of Barron, you come to Dresser, and then go and model that St. Croix bridge that we've had a lot of our photo shoots at the St. Croix River, on the Dresser line. Yep. And then at Dresser, you could go off up to Duluth at Dresser on the Superior line and go off stage. But there you could really do some nice scenery along those cliffs along the St. Croix.
Yeah. Now, Luke, you know what I would do if I were to model a Soo Line. I almost said Milwaukee Road, but if I were to actually model a Soo Line layout, you should know what I would do.
What's that?
Well, I've already mentioned it a bunch of times. I would model what nobody wants to talk about.
Oh,
I would
State.
actually, no, not Lake States, the West End.
Oh,
from Portal, or either Portal or Noise. Either Portal or Noise east.
Yep.
So you would have your staging would go in. You'd have the Canadian border would be your staging. So you'd have the origination location of all the CP trains would be coming on the layout. You'd have your Soo trains going that way. You'd have all the grain trains would be coming up because they'd have all that grain traffic that would be gathered up. You'd have all sorts of that stuff. I would model that.
in the parking lot.
What's that?
At the hotel. Isn't Bob's car in the parking lot in that hotel?
Oh my God, you remembered that? Yeah, is just, there's a little detail we're not supposed to comment, we're not supposed to notice. But when I took this photo, we had our convention here, Luke, many years ago at McGuire's Inn, because it was right on the Soo Line. It was a wonderful venue back then.
Wait a minute, isn't there a blue? There's a blue Fairmont in that picture.
The problem is that my real cars, the HO ones, are going to fit the scene of 1977. But if you look close, you'll see my 1985 Tornado back there. The white back. So you don't. No one needs to know that though. But so let me show you real quick before go ahead.
Luke, is that your old Fairmont?
I don't know. I couldn't tell. It doesn't look like a Fairmont though.
In the McGuire's parking lot?
Yeah, the blue one.
Yeah, the blue one right there.
Is that what this is? Oh, in the photo. Oh, okay. Like I said, there's probably some incorrect cars in that photo because, like I said, they're not supposed to be 85, but that's like, yeah, no one needs to really know. Let me show you real quick. William's going to show you when I was talking about putting the tortoises on my switches last winter. This is the kind of stuff you do now, guys, with foam and static grass.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So there's your tortoises. So the scene pops out. This is just that neat. This is that foam you get at the craft stores, and it takes trees really nice. You just put the trees in. You don't have to drill holes in this stuff.
Is it like
that's my little
foam?
pop out section? I think it's florist foam. That's that thick green stuff.
I use that stuff too. It's great.
Not the real coarse stuff, not the other stuff. But so there's my little panel goes in, and I'm gonna probably put some more static grass in to blend my seams a little better. But that's another project.
You don't have a problem with adhesives of any sort eating away at that foam, do you?
I use that 3M stuff. That seems to work pretty good. But
do you dilute it then?
No, I just use it right out of the spray can. But the other thing I use a lot of, Mike, where you won't run into that, I use a lot of the hairspray. Because I've seen I get so many things from YouTube now. Everything's on YouTube, and they'll put the hairspray, and then you give it an application. Like let's say, for example, let's say we were gonna. Let me get my kit out real fast. So here, this is my static grass bin. So, all right, here we go, William. Live TV. I'll give you a quick demo here.
Well, we had the Dremel out earlier.
I just happen to have an AC cord. Oh, the other thing you have to have at all times ready to go is your soldering station. I've got a little station with a cradle, and this is my static grass machine here. Right. I just used it the other day, so that's why you're seeing there's still some grass in here. But here we'll put some woodlands in here in the static grass machine. Just for demo purposes only, right? So
I love
this. Is always ready. Someday we're going to talk Luke into doing some static grass.
Static grass, yeah.
We would, and you can put it right over the foam. I've done that. I put it over my ground foam. I'm not saying you should do it, Luke, but if you ever did, it's not as bad as you think.
I'm saying you should do it.
It's on my list.
You kind of want the non-smelling stuff, but you do it, you get it whatever's cheapest, right? Okay, now, all right, let's put that there for a second just to get it. Okay, so let's say we wanted to do this little area here. Our lighting look okay here, William? Should I do that? Sure. Okay, there we go. This is just hairspray. That's all this is hairspray. And then we'll put the charge thing that has the little static charge there. And here we go. I had a coworker over here years ago, a few people over from work, and I showed her I was showing off my static grass, and when the little blade stood up, she screamed. She was so impressed, like, ah. And then, so if you need now you can actually go back over this and give it another application. If you wanted to put a different color, let's say, and it's still on, and if your charge is there, your little blade should stand up appropriately, and you can I guess they call that layering, is what they call
all
that.
The cool. That's what all the cool kids.
Cool kids, right? See the little blade standing up there?
Yeah.
The little grass blades.
What size millimeter grass do you usually use?
This is they got different sizes. I like Woodlands has a 12 millimeter. There's a 12 millimeter. These are the one in the big containers here. This looks like a real short one.
Yeah.
This looks like this is 940, whatever that is. Very, very tiny one. But there's, like I said, if I wanted to put the longer blades in there and give it a little variety, because that's, like I said, that's what they call layering, and and I also have one over here. I'll be right here with it, William. I'll just dig it out. There's one I did a few years ago from this was my first one before I bought the Woodland Scenics one.
Oh, yeah.
This is made from a Harbor Freight. This is on YouTube too. Also, Harbor Freight from a bug zapper, from a $5 bug zapper, and you'll get a strainer, a strainer from a thrift store or whatever. Hook up the leads, and there's a static. I think there's a big old AA battery in there or something. A C cell, I believe, but it's probably not even on now. But this is good for going under scenes like this, because the Woodland Scenics one's too tall. So, like I said, I think the battery's dead in this one. But so anyway, that's my coffee strainer version, and it actually works pretty good. You'd be surprised. It's got a nice little static charge in there, and so there's the demo for the night. Whew. with the hairspray.
So Andy, do you got anything? You've been kind of short on the question side. I've been doing all the asking questions stuff here.
I've been trying to man the production on the back end. Kind of. I know William's the cameraman. I'm doing the production here. I'm trying to watch where Luke is trying to bring stuff up, and
it's hard to take it all in with Bob.
Can I just say one thing right now? For those of you guys that haven't and don't really know William Sampson, I tell you what, the intent was to have him come on and talk some about his Milwaukee Road stuff too, but he ended up doing the camera stuff. William, thank you very much for doing all of that stuff. You are a master cameraman when it comes to Bob's layout.
Yes,
because he is.
He's hard to keep up with.
It is a workout keeping up with Bob. I mean, there is never.
I should get a shot of you, William. Can I get it? Can I shoot it? I'll shoot it. Here, give me your camera, William. Let's go.
William,
I used to run one of these, I think, back in the day, didn't I?
Yeah, right?
Okay, there we go.
Look at that. There he is.
Yeah, there we go.
I was stretching before I came, so we're good.
Yeah. How's it going, Coach?
How's it going?
I'm gonna zoom into the Cardigan Depot.
I tell you what, the roof on that thing is absolutely amazing. It's
so
beautiful.
Mike Paulsgrove is actually going to do the new Brighton Depot. So with his 3D printing. So now we'll have to talk him into doing the Cardigan one. But I'm happy with how mine turned out. I don't want to redo my depots, but Yeah, and there's this pump house. He does the pump house for Sioux modelers.
So I mean, Andy, what do you got?
So I think this has just been a fantastic.
Here you go, William. I'll hand you your camera back.
Roundtable once again, and
this is my street I grew up watching trains at, Benjamin Street. Here it is. Made it a cul-de-sac like 15 years ago. Can't cross it anymore.
And Bob's layout is, I mean, one, it's fantastic. I just love how it's, prototypically, it's faithful to the prototype, and then how he builds the trains up too. I really, really appreciate that, because I don't think it's something that you see a lot of. I know, Luke, you do the same thing as well with your layout, with running, when you're running the second sub, you're running the second sub, right? You're there.
I'm running the second sub. Luke sits in the other room and just walks around and says, "You're doing a great job. Keep up the good work."
But you get what I'm saying, right? When an operating session is happening there, the freight is moving across the system, and the trains are the trains that are on the timetable, and it's really quite amazing that you guys have been able to recreate that. And it's interesting, just what is it, 300 miles away from 250 miles away from each other, you've been able
it's not bad. Yeah, we're pretty lucky.
Yeah,
4 hours. Yeah,
4 hours about.
Like 4 hours 7 minutes, door to door.
Yeah.
If Luke drives, we can make it in 3 hours and 45 minutes.
Well, I was just going to say the same about you, though, Mike. But you beat me to it. So that if you drive, I bet it's a lot quicker.
So it's
all right. One more photo here. Do you see this? There's my little box, the little relay box for the I believe there'd be for the crossings, but that's that little. I think Alexander makes it, but those little details are just, with the telegraph poles, the cold poles, and those are all gone now. All this stuff is gone now.
Is that a young Bob Rivard sitting there?
And I still go up to this day when I get word that a train's coming. When Douglas tells me about a train coming, I'll go up to the same exact spot. It's a lot more treed in now, but either that or the kid on the bike, I always say, at the crossing. By the way, these cross books, turns out I found some interesting information. They were made, once again, the Sioux was frugal. They were made from the steam engine flues. So they were actually a hollow pipe. And that's why at the top you'd see the prototype ones. They're pinched. Somebody told me that they were made from the steam engines. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's neat when they show up in my photos, because it's like they had the little stop signs on them and the 2 tracks and the gates. The gates were really unique. They were operated with hydraulic fluid. So the maintainer was Bob Minturn was not a fan of these. They were high. You see, notice there's no counterweight on it. They were operated with hydraulic fluid, and of course it leaked all the time. They were constant maintenance, so they replaced them like in the late 80s. Otherwise, I think that's all I got, William. That's I could talk all night about this stuff.
Yeah,
and talking with Luke, and
this is and we could go on for hours and hours and hours. I love the fact that you've preserved your piece of history there too, Bob.
There's areas down here where, like I said, like over there's the piggy packer they had at Maryland. So they would get containers. They'd come out to Cardigan. So we're trying to run those. But that's that Wheels of Time made a piggy packer. It's like, I have to have one from Maryland.
Is that the yellow reefer?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it would be that. That might be the one. Is that the one you gave me?
Yeah.
Possibly, it probably is. That cut has to get out to Cardigan, so we can see that reefer. Yep.
Bob had a shot of a train at Laredo. I think it was like 80, and there is this little yellow
video. The video. Yep.
Still in 1980.
Yep.
So I modeled one. I'm like, if I modeled one, I might as well model 2. So I made one for Bob too.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
I love the personal connection to it as well. I think that adds a little bit to the layout as well.
That is one thing, all joking aside and everything, is the Soo Line modeling community is really, really tight-knit. There's a lot of shared information that goes between things, and a lot of guys help each other out, especially with finding information on projects and things like that.
That's why it's so neat to go to the Soo Line convention coming up, which I think we can still talk you into it, by the way, Mike, if we're but we run into these people like Ron, that was an engineer on the Soo, and he's getting to be like at 90 now. So you just appreciate every time you can talk to these guys like Stuart. But Ron a few years ago told me about the 2200B, the original Queen Mary F units. And I asked her, in 1977, they painted it, brand new, fresh paint I found on the internet. And so I painted mine that way. I modeled it from one of those Highliner kits. And it turned out, Ron told me, that was the first to go when they got the 38s, late 77, because it had what they called manual transition. So when it's like, I don't know what that is, but the engineers know what it is. And so it was a pain in the butt, basically. So that was even though they repainted it, it was the first to go for the brand new 38s. So like I said, get the F unit trucks under there. But that was an interesting story. I would never know that if I didn't. Although it had to be MU'd either to another F unit or to an SD40 is what he told me. Otherwise, you had to manually transition it when you're going up a grade, or
F3s were still around when Bob was modeling, but they were. Yeah,
well, that's it. When I joined the society, Luke, back in 1978, I have every issue of the society's magazines up in a drawer upstairs. And don't ask me how I keep track of them, because I don't. And so when we talk about projects, I have to go look for one. But it's just neat to have those back issues ready to go at all times and for projects,
So Graham popped his name up there too. That's another way that I learned all about the Soo Line before I even got. Graham used to have a website, and when the internet first came around and my parents just got a home computer, I got on Graham's website and he had the whole diesel roster. So I was every page on that website I printed off so I could get the picture to realize all the engines that the Soo Line had. So I have his full website that he had in hard copy. And that was one of the ways I learned.
Yeah. Look, Graham, who's in Australia, models.
Yeah, and he's Australia. And through the internet, I meet him, and Graham came to my house to see my layout too, which is really kind of neat.
Really cool.
Just the connections you make from this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible. It is incredible. Yeah. So, okay, Mike.
Yeah.
Let's bring her in for final comments here tonight, because we're pushing up on the 3-hour mark. We promised William.
And we have something we need to talk. We need to announce. So
we promised William that it would only be 2 hours.
Yep.
And the poor guy, it's going on 3. So
I know. Sorry, William.
We did it to him again.
Every time he comes on, we always.
I've got your book upstairs too.
It's only going to be so long.
So there was the one thing that I did want to ask. Maybe Bob, you can ask on William's behalf. I saw there was a few pictures that William had sent over to me in the chat earlier this evening. I didn't get a chance to look at them pre-show, but I spy with my little eye. Is this the MNS book that we need to talk about?
Is it? Yeah, because the book was they're not. Yeah.
Line, Luke has it in his hands. Luke, hold it.
Oh, I can't hear you quite so good.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Luke, go ahead and hold it up. So the white copy that you see that Luke is holding up, we actually did a number of copies, and we're donating a portion of the proceeds to the guys that purchased the white copy. We're sending that to the Soo Line Historical Society. So anybody that has that particular copy, the cover photo actually has Bob Rivard photo, but also has mainly Soo Line photos. And this is just covering M&S, but it also goes into the Soo Line era.
So do you have any of these copies available, or are all these ones sold out?
All of the blue, I did a blue cover that was donating proceeds to the Duluth Superior Museum. They're repainting the number 11. Yeah. But then the white copy is actually there is one remaining, and there may be a possibility if the Soo Line Historical Society wants to auction it off they can auction it off, and all the proceeds to anybody that purchases that last copy goes 100% to the Soo Line Historical Society.
We're having the convention. We do the auction. Bob, get it from William. Bring it along.
Bob will actually bring the copy that he has. I signed it, so he'll bring the copy that he has. I will give him the last white copy, but he will bring the one along. And then if Bob wants to sign, he did the cover photo, and if Bob wants to sign that as well, it's just another great element from the society. But at the same time, the archives are a huge part of all the data and information that is in that book. It was because of those AFEs that Luke mentioned earlier, but all the information that was compiled was all extracted from the Soo Line Historical Society. Emery was phenomenal on getting us access. I came out there a couple of times. Luke provided a bunch of information. And
all the OER, you got all the reference to when everything was bought and when everything was disposed of. And there's the complete roster of everything in there.
And anybody that hasn't either been to the Soo Line Historical Society or been a part of the content and information, and these guys talked about it earlier, but was above and beyond. They provided information that was just invaluable. I put a lot of it into that book. It's 236 pages, full color, goes into the Soo Line era, but also goes back into the M&S early. So from 1907 all the way up through about mid-90s, 1995-ish.
Yeah. And I'll speak from my personal experience there. It's incredible. It's just so much information. And then the people that are in the organization always forthcoming with it. It's not gate kept at all. It's just really a really good group of folks tending to a treasure trove of information about a very cool railroad. So I guess the other question I have, William, is do you have any of the yellow copies left?
I do have yellow copies left, and the yellow copies that Andy is referring to are actually just referred to as the base copy. They're $79.95. If you go to tinyurl/M&S book, it will pull up a digital ability for you to be able to order it. Otherwise, if any of you guys are local or anybody knows me, can contact me directly, and I'll be able to get you a copy sent out your way. The white M&S one, just for just that white cover one that Luke had, that one is $100 to start, but realize that you're donating to the Soo Line Historical Society, and it would just be huge just for those guys. It is extremely rare. So I'll tell you right now, of all the books that were ran, the white and the blue copies, if you do not see them, you will not see them because they had sold out, and that one last one that's remaining is going to go to those guys and just hopefully raise some proceeds to go towards the Soo Line Historical and Technical Society.
Yeah, and I didn't get a chance to bring this up during the hashtag not sponsored piece, William. I apologize for that. But I do have the QR code up on screen right now. And then again, there's the tiny URL link there as well. I'll just magnify that so you guys can get a better look at it.
And for anybody for a QR friendly, if you have an iPhone or if you have any phone for the most part, you hold your phone up to the screen, basically taking a picture of that. You can tap on that QR code and it'll pop up and bring you right to the ordering portion. And you guys can get yourself a copy and we'll get them shipped out right away.
Yeah, this is a fantastic book that William has put together.
The packing too with the shipping, I have to say that was remarkable. I've never seen anything good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was next level stuff right there. I tell you what,
that could have been stuffed in the snowbank for 9 months and still came out 15.
Yeah.
And this is by far one of the best roster books I've ever seen. The graphics are insane, and just all the little features that come along with it, and all the history and the nautical piece is one of my favorite bits of the book. So
we do miss the videos, though. We would like.
Yeah, I agree with the videos are.
If you want to know where he's been working on this thing. This thing must have took forever to work on. But we do miss the videos, William. It would be nice to see some.
Luke, just to update you, I do have content. A lot of it is M&S related. I am compiling a series, and I will eventually get it out there. I've set it for basically a couple of years now that it's going to come out. But now that the book is behind us, It's at least given myself the opportunity to put some of that content together, get it uploaded. But if there is anybody, I've had guys on YouTube asking me, when you're going to come back. Provide what you want to see. If you do want to see certain things, because there's guys that have asked for custom painting and scenery, I'll cover some of that stuff. But if there's specific things you want to see from my railroad, which is Soo Milwaukee Road, or even M&S content, I'll work through it and I'll show you exactly what I'm doing. I've learned a lot of tips from Bob, learned a lot of tips from Luke. And I think the biggest thing that I've done that channel for was to share the information. And hopefully you guys are able to learn some stuff from it. And at the end of the day, we learn from one another. And that's what makes this hobby entertaining.
Yeah.
William, the burning question on everybody's mind actually is with the new content that you're going to put out at one point, because we're just going to force you to do it, like it or not.
Wait, what have you been saying to Luke? We can't be friends if you don't
we're no
do
longer
it.
friends if you don't do it. That's the way it's going to be from now on. That was the ultimatum that was given to me when I did my drumhead for my passenger car. So no, I'm just going to use that on everybody. Are Colin or the curmudgeon going to reappear?
Oh, jeez.
I already know the true answer and how all that works out. I figured that all out a long time ago, and you confirmed it. So I mean, but are they going to rear their heads at one point again?
I mean, I would think so. It's a classic. It's one of the ones that I've just, from talking to you guys, and you guys provide the content. I mean, the true curmudgeon probably originally started out as my dad, but I grew up, and one of the things I learned most though is a lot of the skepticism, or he'd point out a lot of details, and there'd be certain things he'd kind of gripe about, and that's actually how I got better as a modeler. He'd look at it and be like, "Oh, geez, what kind of coupler are you using on that thing?" Because it's plastic. You got to take that thing off.
Yeah.
The next time I see Senior, I'm going to tell him that you said that. I'm going to say, hey, you're the original curmudgeon.
Well, I think he's loosely aware of that.
Oh, there's no doubt. Your dad is awesome.
Well done.
So,
but William, seriously, thank you for helping.
Thank you.
And being a good sport about all this. We certainly do appreciate it.
Hey, how about talking about being a good sport? I just spent 3 hours talking about the flipping Soo Line.
You suffered through pretty good, Mike.
Mike, I think you secretly enjoy it. I mean, I think you put up a good front. Like, I hate the Soo Line, but I think you just have the disease of I love trains. It doesn't matter if it's Soo Line, Milwaukee Road, Union Pacific, whatever. I think you just have I think you like Penn Central and Conrail and all those.
There's nothing wrong with Penn Central.
See?
But see, when it comes to Soo Line, it's just that whole 19, and I already saw Graham had already mentioned this. The real Soo Line ended when they bought the Milwaukee Road.
Yeah.
But it didn't. It was just reborn into something else. And had that not happened, we wouldn't have had the Wisconsin Central. We wouldn't have had things the way they are now. Just imagine if the Soo Line hadn't bought the Milwaukee Road, what would have happened to the Soo Line? Because they weren't in super great shape when they bought that. Things weren't looking all that up. They did it for the main line because they had to get someplace to put their main line trains. So what's that?
Run their trains like they have to hit shore still. They just
Yeah, it was lucky that they did that because that helped make that railroad survive. So, but Luke, thanks. you honestly, you push me harder than anybody else, and you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
And
And
Bob,
nice about it sometimes, but you can take it.
yeah. Well, as long as you take it back.
Oh yeah.
But Bob, thank you very much. You guys are amazing. And William, thank you. And a big thank you to everybody that's behind the scenes at the Sioux Society. They do a very, very good job, and it is a cool group of people. And
consider joining the society.
Yeah.
I did join. I am a member. I will say this much. Everybody can sit down if they're not. I am a card-carrying member of the Soo Line Historical and Technical Society.
See?
And I said that out loud.
It's on live stream.
My name is Mike, and I have a Soo Line problem.
Yeah.
It's going to be on TikTok pretty soon.
Yeah, that's on Ticky Tack. Yeah.
We'll be on the TikToks. So,
yeah. Do we want to do this other thing or quick?
Yeah, so just a couple of administrative notes here. So as we get to the end here and tie down for tonight, so our next show, we're going to have a Brew with the Crew on the 20th of September. Our friend Steve from trainwaybills.com is going to be coming back with us with some power users with his fun little, I guess, online tool that he's created to simulate train waybills electronically and go through some of the improvements that he's made since last show. So grab your favorite beverage and join us on Saturday night, the 20th, for that. And then we'll be back with a regular show on the 22nd of September, God willing.
Yep.
With guest Mike. Do you want to tell them who we're going to have on the show?
This has been a long time coming, and this is going to be a fun one. We're going to have Mike Confalone of the what's the name? Allagash fame, and then his new Androscoggin and Western Maine. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Or Maine Western? Is that what it is? It's Western Maine. Yeah,
yep.
Androscoggin and Western Maine is his new railroad. He is going to be coming on to talk about the new transition from the Allagash into his new railroad. And if I remember correctly, it may be outside of what's the heck is the name of that magazine? I just forgot it. It was right on the tip of my tongue.
Model Railroad Hobbyist?
Yeah, Model Railroad Hobbyist. Outside of that, I don't know that he's ever been on a podcast or anything like that or interviewed by anybody. Oh, yeah, he's been on Mike Rose, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Mike Confalone is going to come on. So,
and then after that in October, we've got Mike Rose coming back on the show. He's I think he gets his meatball sub. And that'll be October 20th. And then also coming back on the show, return is we're working out the dates, is Boomer. He's going to be coming back with us here in October, November timeframe. So you're not going to want to miss the lineup that we've got coming up here in the future here. So on second section, it's going to be a good power lineup here for us here at second section. So
are we going to have a show November 6th?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
We got to work some stuff out. So
okay. That sounds like a plan.
All right, guys. So Luke, Bob, William, anything else from the Sioux in the 70s? Anything else we want to talk about this evening before we shut her down for tonight?
No, just didn't. Sue's a good line tomorrow. If they can tolerate it.
Whatever.
We got Bob mic'd up.
Yeah, Bob's talking, but
Bob
nobody
was
can hear him.
talking, but I don't think we can hear him on this one. We gave him the wrong mic. So, but anyways, just again, thank you to Bob Rivard, Luke Lemmens, and William Sampson for hanging out with us tonight. It's been a good show. Mike, thank you again for
Thank you.
Being the awesome host that you are and asking all the good questions and being a good sport, because I know it was hard for you tonight. So, and if you guys want to catch more of Bob or Luke or William, I've put all of their information in the show notes for tonight in the description of this video, so check them out there. And I will get links to William's book. I'm going to put that out on our Facebook group, which is Second Section Podcast. We'll get that tiny URL link out there so you can go order your M&S book and get your own copy of the yellow version and help support the history of that cool little railroad and get all that good stuff that William put together. So from all of us here at Second Section, Mike, how do we end the show? What do we always do?
Just keep modeling.
Good night, everybody.